Hello, Volnation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerberson, joined with Reed Bacon. The Vols are 6-0. We're number 3 in the country. Just into the drought, smoking our cigars. God, it feels good. Before we get into the amazing game we played on Saturday, thank you guys for watching and listening. If you are watching, please subscribe and hit that like button, hit that notification bell. And if you're listening, rate, review, download, re-download. We now have merch. I will put it in the YouTube. It is in the link below. It is awesome. It is just how we doing, bud. Right across the front, little characters of me and Reed for y'all's entertainment. And if you guys go on there, buy it out. It helps us so much. And we always appreciate every single fan that watches and listens every week. So we're going to break down offense. We're going to break down defense. This podcast is 2+ hours long because there is so much to get into. And we talk about what an amazing job this coaching staff has done. It's going to be a great podcast. So let's jump into it.
The game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir-ree. No, sir-ree. Final score, Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught by Tennessee. Tennessee wins! Caught it by Tennessee. Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Kent, touchdown on play number 1.
All right, so before we get into the podcast, we got to shout out our number one sponsor, betonline.ag. You guys know I say it every podcast. It is the place to go for all your betting news and odds and sports, everything. This is the place, okay? With BetOnline, you get the most up-to-date fighting news. You get to bet on MLB games going on right now, NFL. I mean, you can bet on anything. Team total wins, division wins, individual players, all of it, okay? So now is the time to sign up. At BetOnline, you can sign up on your mobile device, or you can go online, get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code BELIEVE at checkout. That's BLEAV. And you get that 50% welcome bonus. So listen, y'all, please use that. Please go to BetOnline when you're doing all your sports betting. It makes things a lot more fun and a lot more interesting. And I always love them. They're the place to go. BetOnline. It's where the game starts. All right. Welcome in, everybody. Oh, what an amazing podcast we have coming up. About to break down the offense and defense. But before we get into all of that, Reed, how are we doing, bud?
Let's freaking go! Let's go, baby! Yellow hammer, whatever. The Vols just beat the hell out of you.
How about them Vols?
I can't wait. I cannot wait for this pod because you and I honestly we haven't talked. I mean, it was unbelievable. You called me right as the game ended, and Jack and I were going down to the field, and you're tearing up, and you said you were crying, and as much as a fan, how much this all feels to us. There's nothing that compares to someone who wore the orange and stuff, but. So I can't wait to talk to you about that. But look, I got it. So this is my victory cigar from Saturday, and I saved it just so
I'm gonna put it in a case, ladies and gentlemen.
I just want to. I'm gonna have one puff on here for Volnation and in the house. So
Oh my gosh.
What the hell are you doing lighting up that in the house? You know better than that.
All right, Karen.
You're an idiot.
Just hey, I just wanted one puff, but I guess I can't do it in the house. Sorry, Karen. I guess
Oh my
I guess
God.
if I still owned my own house, I could do it there. But as you can also see, I'm not in the Chinese buffet. I'm in another room today. So, dude, unbelievable. 6-0. 6-0. We have so much to talk.
6-0. We're the number one team in the country. I don't care what anybody says.
I mean, I knew they weren't going to give it to us, but
because
we are.
They hate us.
But everyone knows we are. Our resume's the best. I mean, and you know what? I mean, honestly, I don't really care because we still control our destiny. And the crazy thing is, if we go down there and lose a heartbreaker to Georgia, doesn't matter because like we could still end up in the college football playoff if Alabama has to go to the SEC. If Alabama loses another one, or if they go to the SEC championship and lose to Georgia, they have 2 losses. We're
over them. We're getting in over them.
So it'd be Georgia, us, and 2 other teams. Anyways, let's dive right into it. I want to start before we start talking about plays and the breakdowns. I just want to hear from you. I want to hear from you just your whole everything, like your overview, how you felt, how the day went, all that stuff.
As the day, I woke up, and as the day went on and got closer to game time, my heart rate just kept going up and up and up, and I kept feeling more and more like nervous and excited about what was about to happen, and it was all I could think about all day. Eventually got to it, went over to a buddy's house, Ryan Ridley, shout out, watched the first half there, and it was electric, man. Like I knew that we could play well, but I literally did not expect it to be that great, like that good. Like that really surprised me in a way. And our defense surprised me in the first half. Like I wasn't expecting it out of them. And then the game goes on, the second half, like I'm getting so nervous and so worked up because it's Alabama, and this is what they do all the time, where they'll let people hang around and they break away. And then like some of the things were happening that felt like it was going to go that way. We eventually win the game. I immediately just start screaming yes, just over and over and over. And like I can't control all of my emotions at once. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm relieved. Relieved. Yeah. I'm pumped up. I think it's freaking hilarious. Like I start like crying and laughing at the same time. It's like every 5 seconds, I keep thinking, we beat them. We just beat them. And I start just laughing and crying. Like I just start going while I'm crying, because just thinking that we beat them. I was cooking during that time, and I was like getting things ready. I was chopping everything and like had everything set out. We won. And I told Brian, I was like, I can't do that. Like, I need you to step in. I can't do this right now. Like, I'm freaking out. I can't control my emotions. I'm pacing back and forth.
Did cooking while watching, did it help you like not be so nervous, do you think?
I think it helped a little bit, just like other tasks that I had to do. Definitely helped me a little bit, but dude, it was like I was a nerd, like I was a wreck once we won. And you know, I called you, was screaming on the phone with you. My brother called me. I started screaming on the phone with him. He's downtown in a bar. And I'm like, dude, like I go and grab my cigar. I'm like, I have to start smoking this. I went and bought it the day before just for this. God. And Like, it reminded me of the feeling I had in 2016 when we beat Florida. Like, I cried then too. And it was the same thing. And just to see the crowd storm the field and see on all social media everyone on the field smoking their cigars, enjoying this win, it means so much to everyone. And I hate the fact that Alabama is trying to make it about them and about,
who cares?
like, yeah,
Who cares?
Who cares? We won. It's not about them. It's because we won, man. It's because we are now the number 3 team in the nation. It is because we've gone through so much turmoil and heartbreak and just soul crushing defeats over the past 15 years. This was it. This was what made it all worth it. Like, if you're not with me for Georgia Southern, you don't deserve me versus Bama. You know what I mean? Like, this is what everyone has wanted for so long. And I mean, for the past 3 days, today's Monday, like, I've never enjoyed social media more in my life. I just keep scrolling Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, just see people's videos,
just hours,
pictures, just everything, and just keep watching and see people's tweets and the stats on the game and how we performed. I mean, I cannot get enough content, and it's been literally the best 3 days ever.
I got a news flash for you, for Volnation, for those losers in Tuscaloosa. Game's over. Game's over. You can complain all you want. You know, you can show your ass all you want. I get it. All these fan bases are the exact same. Volnation, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, everyone, all in America. They all want to complain about something. And you know what? That's fine. But we're on the other side of it this time. So you just complain all you want because we won the game.
Yeah.
We smoked these on Saturday, and so
I mean that's definitely happened to us before in the past. Like, we're just complaining,
absolutely.
Like, why is Bama getting these calls? Why is this team getting these calls? Why are, like, all these things are falling for the other team? We've done the exact same thing. We've been on the same side.
It's just all that matters is who has the most points when the clock hits 0. And the University of Tennessee Volunteers had the most points when it went 0, and that's all that matters. First off, we're recording today on Monday on my lunch break during work, on your lunch break during work, because we're trying to get this out. We weren't able to do it on Sunday, and my feeling today is still like it's almost a little surreal, Kyler. Like, it's almost like it's weird because I have so much confidence in this team, and I had so much confidence going into this game, but it's still the slight bit surreal. But so for me, for the whole overview, the day was unbelievable. It was great weather, great atmosphere. One thing I really wanted to see when I get over there is how many Bammers were there. And there weren't, like, there's been years where I forget what year it is. It was, in between 2012 to 2015, 16. And I was at a game and they absolutely took over the stadium. And I just said, I'm not going back. I said, I'm just not going back to any of these games because it physically just bothers me so much. And so I'm the type of person that I will remove myself from a situation instead of allowing myself to feel a certain way, which I'll end up telling you something else about the game. But anyways, so go in there. The day's great. The atmosphere is great. Shocker. It's Tennessee fans, but I was so happy not to see that many Bama fans. And then we get in there, and this is going to sound really bad, and I don't mean it to sound bad. I been very fortunate, very lucky to know some really good people that would invite me to games, and very lucky. And we had season tickets for a while, but like this was the highest I've ever set up in Neyland Stadium. I was legitimately 2 rows from the top. And Kyler, it was one of my favorite seats I've ever sat in my entire life.
Really?
I'm openly admitted a little bit of a prima donna because, like, for me, it's like if I'm going to go to a game, I don't mind to spend money, good money to sit in good seats because I do pretty frugal or pretty selective of how I spend my money. In sporting events is one of those things. And so it's like, I don't mind to drop some coin for a big game. I don't buy season tickets. I don't go to all the games. So when I have one I want to go to, but I get up there and Jack and I are legitimately in the middle of the Bama section. And it's me and him and maybe a combined like 15 or 20 other Vol fans spread out in these sections with hundreds of Alabama fans. But I was sitting up there, man, and I was just soaking all up. The angle that we had to watch it was unbelievable. The angle was great. You could see all the skyline of Knoxville. It was a beautiful day. I mean, it was picturesque.
You were on the side with the original Jumbotron, right?
Correct. We were right. Literally, we were right under. So they put the Vols on the right of the Jumbotron, the Vols on the left, and we were on the right. Like if you're looking down at the field from the Jumbotron, we were on the right. We're right under the O. I mean, Jack and I looked at each other and we're like, "Damn, man, I've never sat this high in any stadium ever." And he goes, "Neither have I." And I said, "But you know what?
Those steps are pretty steep up there, aren't they?"
They are. And I swear, we looked at each other and we're like, you know what though? Like we love the. I mean, it really was. It really was absolutely great seats because I was able to watch it almost like I was watching film. Like I kid you not, those seats are better for watching things develop than if you are on the 50-yard line, 20 rows up. Mm-hmm. Like seriously, like as a football fan, there was multiple times, Kyler, I called our touchdown probably 3 times before, like Hendon hadn't let the ball go. And I said, "That's 6. That's easy. That's easy." And it happened because I saw it develop. And so it was unbelievably up there. The troll job between Jack and I in enemy territory. So you have Jack. you have Jack, who is just like a savage, bro. Like, I mean, he is just up there just like, and to each his own. I've really, really tried to be better about my potty mouth and, and try to be better as I've gotten older, more mature, and tried to be a better person, a better Christian. And so, like, I try to watch my potty mouth, but Jack is up there just like, "Alabama, I fucking hate them. Hell with you, Bammers. I'm tired of all this." Like, he is just letting them have it. And, like, of course, some of the, the college kids, Bama fans, are like, "F Tennessee," and he just turns around and looks at him. He's like, "F you too." And like he's a grown adult, so I'm not going to tell him not to. I mean, he can do what he wants, but for me, it was more about getting super excited and fired up, but troll jobs. And so my troll jobs would be like, we're not. I'd hold 2 up. I'm like, "We're not even in year 2," and I'm yelling it, and they're all dead silent, so all of them can hear me. And I'm just like, "We're year 2. We're not even through year 2, Coach Heupel." I said, "Saban better get it together. He's getting absolutely out." Like, all I was like, and then we would score, and I'd be like, "Too easy. It is too easy, Jack." Like,
yeah, it's like,
then,
hey, is Saban a defensive coach or not? Because he's getting out coached.
That's what I said. I was like, "Saban, where's your defense?" I said, "Bro, where's your secondary? Your safeties are getting torched." I was like, "Make adjustments." So like, and then I would be, I would just be like, "It's too easy." I was like, "You guys have to scratch and claw for your points." I say, "We do what we want when we want." I said, "You can't stop." And so like, I was just doing the troll job, and this could not have been any minute more picture perfect. We had four frat guys right in front of us, super lame-os. And I'll give them credit. They never turned around and directly said something to Jack and I, because I can promise you, the 2 of us versus the 4 of them, it would have been absolutely mollywhopping, and they probably knew it. But they, when Chase McGrath missed the kick, one of them goes,
the extra point.
Situation. Yeah, the extra point. He goes, "Situation's too big for him." He goes, "Situation's just too big for him. This is too big of a moment for him." And I started laughing. I said, "Situation's too big for him." I said, "Alabama hasn't been able to find a kicker in the past 9 years." You know what I mean? Like they were in national championship games to duck cooking kicks.
Yeah, and then that's the one position they've never been able to get.
Right. Yeah, and for a while, it was quarterback too. I mean, for a while it was quarterback. They changed that, but their kickers have always. So the guy said that, and then the other hilarious thing, which when Bama would get some calls, Jack would be like, "There it is, Greg Sankey, the Birmingham office, got to keep Alabama in the game." And then the Bama fans around us, when one of those PIs, it was not PI, and I'm not saying this like you know me, I admit when Tennessee gets away with one.
Yeah.
And I'll say but this was, I've watched it back. It was not PI on the corner, and they're all like, paying the refs. And I'm just like laughing. I'm like, "Oh my God, Bama fans are actually complaining about the refs after the decade run they've had with these refs. Like, you got to be kidding me." I was like, "It just happened last week at Texas A&M. They had a PI. Blatant." I said, like that was just last week. That wasn't even like last season. And so just being in that
also a stat they put in the CBS broadcast is Bama is tied 12th for most penalties in the nation going into this game. And everyone's surprised and thinks it's weird that they got penalized a lot. I'm like, y'all have been getting penalized all season a lot. It's you. There's a common denominator here.
Right. Right. And completely agree. At some point, sometimes honestly, like I really don't like complaining about refs because I've said it so many times. Like it's going to go both ways. A lot of it, there's going to be missed ones each way. Now, there are games where a certain team, and I've seen it where the Titans or the Vols get away with them, and I'll admit them. I'm like, hey, today was our day. We got away with some stuff. Or other days where it's just like, it is like, these guys the refs are human. Like they're doing, the best they can and trying to make calls in a fast-paced time. But I'm going to say this. The game's coming down to the wire. There's about a minute left. And I said, Jack, we got to get out of this area. I said, because if we lose, it's going to be bad. And I said, if we win, it's going to be bad. I said, we have to get out of this section. Because if we had lost and they had said something, and I would have been fine if they said something, they could have said anything they want. But if one of them had pushed me or shoved me or gotten in my face, like that's where the line's going to get crossed. Yeah. And then if we win and we're celebrating and they get mad, I was never going to direct it. I never directed anything at anybody all day. Like I would just say it out loud, but I never specifically looked at someone. I'm just not going to be that way. And so if we had won the game like we did and we had still been up there, I would have been like, and if someone had gotten in my face or said something like, it's just like, I'm not gonna allow that. And so I said, Jack, we got to go. So we went down, Kyler, and we were at the exact same spot where you and Jack and I sat for the Florida game, which was the perfect place to be because we were directly behind where the game-winning field goal went through, and then we were able to get down to the field much quicker than if we were still upper deck. So all of that to say, like, unbelievable atmosphere, unbelievable game. Like the whole time, the entire time, even when we had the box, the fumble, and I just looked at Jack and said, bro, I said, this team doesn't quit. I said, I'm not telling you we're going to win. I said, but this game is not over. I said, this game is not over. I said, give these boys another chance. And they went down, they scored, they drove down, they scored. They held Alabama to a missed field goal. And then it was some of the most clutch plays I've seen in my entire life. And that's why you play 60 minutes and you never stop. And the last thing I'm going to say before we dive into this is the coaching job that Coach Heupel did was absolutely insane. And this is no knock on this football team because I absolutely love this football team. But the talent difference is still pretty evident in my eyes at some positions. And if you had Alabama's talent with Coach Heupel and Saban, who, in my opinion, is the greatest college coach in the history of football, or in my lifetime, because he's who I watched, if you swapped them, the game is legitimately probably 62, 65 to like 7, unless Heupel called off the dogs with that Bama. Bryce Young is fabulous. It was a pleasure watching him. And that was the other thing too. When I was up
Bryce
there,
Young is incredible, dude. You cannot take anything away from him. He played insane. Rewatching this again, like some of the throws he had were, the only place you could throw that ball, the only place you could put that ball to where your guy gets it is what he was doing. Like we had great coverage and still couldn't get there. He was a Houdini, avoiding tackles. I mean, the guy played out of his mind. There's a reason why everyone was like, if he plays versus Milroe playing, like he is the biggest difference maker on Alabama.
And we said it. If he plays, it's a 60-minute heavyweight fight. But we both thought Tennessee won. That's exactly what happened. And if Milroe played, you're right. If Milroe played, it would have been absolutely trouble.
That's what I'm saying. This is what happened. This is what talent and ability I saw out of this team in Heupel in previous games, where if Milroe would have played, I wholeheartedly believe there was no way Alabama could keep up. No way. I thought it was guaranteed win because they had to pull out all the stops, like you just said, and Bryce had to be Superman to stay in this game.
Tennessee would have had to play a very, very, very poor game for Milroe and Alabama to stay in it, because obviously that defense was soft as Charmin. I mean, they couldn't stop anything. And it was, I'm telling you, Bryce Young and his pocket presence and his ability to just create is literally insane. But like I said, this is not a knock on these players, because I absolutely love this team. And obviously execution, hard work, coaching can still beat talent. But I'm telling you, man, that it's one of the greatest coaching jobs I've ever seen. And those Bama fans, like, we had some Bama fans up there that they were older, and they were obviously much more reasonable than some other ones. But they were like, they said, like, they were, and you know, I believed them. I don't think they were just blowing smoke, but they're like, you know, one of them said, "Hey, I'm shocked how well your offensive line's playing. You know, we've gotten so much more pressure." I said, honestly, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I said the sad thing is this offensive line isn't even great. Like, I think they played great, and they have some really, really good pieces, but like they just played their best game. And the other thing is too, is I do think the tempo does really give them an advantage from time. But even then, like, our running ability was great.
It does. I mean, tempo gives them an advantage definitely as an offensive lineman. But like, dude, all six guys that played, because Mincy and Jeremiah both played left tackle. I mean, just straight lockdown. Like Darnell, this game alone probably like upped his draft stock by a round. Like, if he was supposed to be undrafted, he's a 7th rounder. If he was supposed to be 7th rounder, he's a 6th rounder. Like, he locked down Will. There was no threat of a pass rush when it was one-on-one with Will Anderson. Nothing. Darnell locked that side down. And like, I am so impressed by this offensive line picking up twists, picking up blitzes. And you know what? I'm even more freaking impressed with Jabari Small. The turnaround from previous games and what we've talked about and his blitz pickup to Saturday was insane. He was on his P's and Q's, crossing T's, dotting I's. He knew exactly where the blitz was coming, exactly who he was supposed to pick up. And if he didn't, he was helping out the offensive line, adding chips, whether it be inside or outside. I was so impressed with like MVPs, offensive line, MVPs, like insane.
Yeah. No, and I agree, and we'll get into that when we do our breakdown, because I feel the exact same way. It's like I said, everyone on this team, if they're a 10, 12, 15 handicap, they need to go out there and play their best round of golf, and they did. And I'm surprised that Will Anderson did not go over to try to come off on our left. Like, I don't know why you're attacking Darnell Wright compared to Mincy or Jeremiah Crawford, but hey, you know what? There's a lot of things that Bama did schematically that I did not agree with. How are you going to leave a safety one-on-one with a free release Jalin Hyatt? Expect not just early in the game, but after he's already put a 3-piece chicken combo on you. Like, you can't allow that to happen. I mean, that's just coaching. Like, I mean,
malpractice.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but anyways, let me finish up the overview. Being up there and I had like I said, I had a great view. Like, Gibbs is a fabulous running back. And Bryce Young is unbelievable. He's fantastic and so fun to watch. But obviously, not having a cheat code at receiver like we had at Jalin Hyatt with just speed kills, like them not having that. But I'll tell you this: like I said, our defensive backs, I thought, played a well of game. Even some of the best completed passes, that 3 of the best completed passes or longest plays that Bama had, our guys were hip pocket and draped all over them. And you just got to give kudos to other guys making plays. And so,
I mean, those are all 5-star receivers and tight ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's I was up there, and those guys, like, I was sitting around that reasonable, they're like, we just, you know, like, we can't stop your offense. Like, we, you know, and they were, you know, that's not something that those Bama fans are accustomed to seeing. No. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I felt like I was a little bit nervous that, like, they, you know, we jumped up. Then they answered. I'm like, okay, we have to answer here. And then after, like, the first quarter and a half, I was like, Reed, stop sweating, bro. We're going to answer. Like, trust these guys. Trust them. Like, just because it's Bama, just because they have the red on their helmet, doesn't mean that we're just going to automatically poop our pants. And like they did, like they always answered. So I know we're going to talk offense first, and then we're going to do defense. As the defensive guy who I know we're not going to get into it, but I just want to go ahead and give a preview. This defense had some unbelievable plays. They gave unbelievable effort. A lot of defense is just sheer effort. How many guys are you going to get around the ball with a dynamic player like Bryce Young or Gibbs? How many people are you going to give and sacrifice? And I'm talking about our DBs. We're flying around, making tackles, getting there. If they missed it, someone else was there. Our D line. I mean, these guys all play with their hair on fire. And so I'm excited to talk that, but that'll come probably in about an hour because we got a lot of offense to talk about. So,
Bro, we have so much to talk about. It's freaking ridiculous. All right. Let's start on the offense. We'll just go through it. Go through the game as we see it. I mean, this offensive performance.
Hey, you know what? I probably should, just so people don't have to wait. We probably do need to talk Jalin Hyatt real quick.
Yeah,
because we're obviously gonna talk about it here. We're gonna talk about
Jalin Hyatt. So here's what we've always said every time is we need Jalin to step up in a big time moment, step up in a big time game. We didn't really believe that he was the one to do that. Saw him as a wide receiver too. But he proved us wrong. He stepped up in a very big way and took advantage of his opportunities. Jalen's biggest attribute and his biggest strength is his speed. He is faster than everyone else on the field. And like you said, when you put a safety to try and man coverage on him and Jalen's got full speed running at him, there's no way. Jalen's going to be open every single time. And the play setups for him, his first touchdown was the exact same play we ran versus LSU where he scored. It is very, very impressive, the kind of day that he had yesterday. And kudos to him. I freaking love him for what he did and the victory he brought for us, because if he wasn't there, the offense isn't the same. I completely admitting that. The one thing that I will say so people can understand where my thought process was going into this game about Jalin is the touchdown. Jalen's second on the motion naked boot where Hendon hits him in the flat and he runs into the end zone. You can't tell me he was putting forth effort to score that touchdown. You can't. I've seen effort. I've seen guys go for the pylon. I've seen guys run through dudes to get a touchdown. Jalin wasn't doing that. He was almost slowing down getting to the pylon because he was afraid of getting hit. And that's the part of me as a football player, as an ex-lineman who prides himself on being tough, where I see that out of Jalin. I'm like, this guy doesn't have that, I want this bad kind of feel to it when he does plays like that. I know he's a great athlete. He's got the speed. He can run past dudes. But that little thing is what had me hesitant about him and his play and his ability to be a wide receiver one. So people can go back and look and be like, yeah, he didn't really try on that. Why didn't he try? I mean, we got the touchdown, but was he really that confident that he had it? Because it didn't look like he had it. So that's all I'll say about Jalin.
It all comes down to just personal preference. And we're the two of us are the only two people that do this. If we had a third or fourth person, they could have a totally different opinion and perspective about Jalin, of how they see the game of football. Mm-hmm. For us, what we've always talked about as wide receiver one, in my eyes, to give some examples, is for Tennessee's perspective, most recently, like a Jawan Jennings or Marquez Callaway. And all I'm talking about is style of play. And so when I see Jawan Jennings, who can beat you over the top, he can run a go, he can run a post, he can run a dig, he can run a slant, he can run a hitch, he can run a screen, he can get it in motion, and all of them, he has a chance to score. He can do it all. He can block, he can do everything. Marquez Callaway, jump ball, catching traffic, hitch to the house like he did against Georgia Tech. Some things like that. And that is what
Tough
you and I
across the middle, Marcos Callaway.
Right, and that's what you and I look at. And then for NFL style, like I'm a Titans fan, like so I say AJ Brown, and I get it. There's other bet, you got Cooper Kupp, you got Deebo Samuel, you got Jamar Chase, just all these guys. There's tons. I'm just using one as a Titans fan as a number one where AJ Brown can legitimately do everything. He can beat you over the top. He could catch a little smoke screen and house call it. He could, and so that's what we're talking about. But for Jalin Hyatt's perspective, even if you're a one-trick pony, if you're the best one-trick pony in the nation, and no one can stop you, that's all that matters. And if you're in a position like you're in with the University of Tennessee, then you can absolutely be a number one receiver. Do I think that he makes that catch that Brew McCoy or Ramel Keaton make towards the end of the game? I don't, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we have other guys to do that. So if you have Jalin who can absolutely take the top off so that when coaches on Sunday and Monday or even Saturday nights are breaking down film and they're like, holy F, what are we going to do to stop this guy? Because he has world-class speed. And that's where you and I came from. And then plus I think the practices that we saw really kind of put a bad taste in our mouth, plus all the hype. It was never anything about Jalin. It was all about the hype that Volnation put on him. Yeah. But no one can deny, you and I can't deny, and we're happy as hell that he went out in 6 receptions for 207 yards and 5 touchdowns. Dude is a legend now. Like, I don't care if he never has really another good game at the University of Tennessee, if he doesn't have a pro career. For the rest of his life and the rest of the life of all those people in that stadium and watched it will know Jalin Hyatt put 5 touchdowns on the University of Alabama, a Nick Saban defense, and we broke the streak. He's a legend now. Whether they threw 6 screen routes to him and he house called all of them, or whether he beat your ass deep, you can't deny it. And you know what? If you produce, you produce.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, he will forever be a legend in Knoxville because of what he did.
And he should be. I mean, he should be.
And you're saying the right thing. Like, the fact that it's not everything. Like, he doesn't have, in my eyes and what it seems like, the complete package of being a wide receiver. So I agree with you on that point. And I
want to say this too. Us saying that right there doesn't mean we're discounting him.
Yeah.
If you're, you know what? If you're, golf talk, if you're a great golfer because you can drive the ball well, putt the ball well, wedge game, irons, everything, that's great. But if you're a great golfer, just because you're unbelievable at short game, hey, guess what? You're still a great golfer. You know what? So Jalin Hyatt, if no one can stop Jalin Hyatt just running a streak every play, he's still a great receiver. So we're not knocking him. We're just explaining where we came from. And damn it, no one's happier about how he played than you and I.
Oh, I agree. Oh, well, I mean, most of Volnation's pretty happy about the way he played.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, let's get into this offense. I mean, first off, Heupel, like we said, it just amazing play calling, like amazing setups. Offensive line played their freaking asses off. Receivers caught everything thrown to them. I thought Jabari did so well in pass protection and finding holes, him and Jalin both. It was just super, super efficient by everyone. And like easy. It just seems easy for us. It doesn't matter what defense you put out there. It doesn't matter what team we're playing. Like, plays are just easy pitch and catch. We start it in the way we started. I mean, you set the tone. Brew coming across the middle, tough catch, safety hitting him as he catches it, gets a first down. Hendon pulls the ball in this next one, takes off, gets some good yardage. Will Anderson stunts, he takes away a blocker, the linebacker gets a tackle for loss, and then great angle route by Jacob on some DBs. And like our offensive line was like fighting too, dude, pushing piles all throughout the game. Like, no, we're not stopped. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, who cares if you're Alabama? That is the only way that you beat teams like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, guys that have been up top for a very long time. There's teams that go in scared. They're freaking out because of the number that's next to the name and the fact that they won championships in the past. And it's like, y'all, who gives a shit? Like, play your game, do what you do, know and believe in yourself, and you can beat anyone. And I think that was kind of the mentality that we had in my last year when we went to Bama and played them and almost beat them. It was just like, who gives a shit if it's Bama? Like, we just beat Georgia. Why can't we beat Bama? And these guys believed that. They were like, we can win this game. They felt it in their bones. And I think everybody kind of felt that, like, destiny calling in a way.
First off, I love that you say – I was going to say the exact same thing. I love how we set the tone. And the tone didn't have to be run it right down their throats. Like you said, hey, Brew McCoy, big body, great hands. We're here. We're going to still attack you. You're playing man coverage. You think your guys are better than ours? Okay, we'll see. Then we ran it. So I love that you said to set the tone. I love that you said it was effortless. And the other thing is, too, is like you said, like there comes a point in time where either people have it in them or as confidence is a wild thing in sports. I'm telling you, confidence, Kyler, holy moly, bro. I mean, it plays. I don't care what it is you're doing. If you have confidence, you can literally be like 5 or 6 average. So like at golfer or basketball player, you can be like 5 or 6. But if you're out there playing with confidence and you think you're better than you are, your boy's out there playing like 7.5 or an 8 or an 8.5. And with this team playing with confidence, it's only scary for the rest of the college football nation. And when you don't think you can lose, you don't think about losing. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like they don't know what losing is right now. They don't know what it's like. We don't know what it's like. And so it's like, confidence is a hell of a thing is all I was going to say about that.
So just like incredible first drive, they just keep going down the field, even after like a tackle for loss on one down. They're just like, okay, like we're fine. We just keep going. Big. It's just snap and clear, like on to the next one. Who cares? Jacob runs a great little angle route, gets that first down. That was awesome move by him. Then we get down there close. Jabari and Jacob on a counter play adjust where they're actually running. They're not supposed to go where they ended up going. They went backside A gap. They're supposed to be leading front side B, but that's what was open. That's what opened up for him. So Jacob leads up in there. Jabari falls right behind him. We get down to the 1 yard line with that, which is just like, yeah, like be smart. Be a smart football player. Like see the hole and realize that's where I'm going. And that's a great blocking technique by Jacob to be like, running back's looking for the hole. I'm looking for the hole. Same thing. And then I thought lowers his head, gets in the end zone.
I thought Jacob had a hell of a game blocking. I mean,
his blocking was incredible,
and it was the best blocking performance I've seen him have from start to finish. So agreed with you. Just real quick, So what do we start?
Many thoughts.
I have so many things too that I just have to explain to these people. Like. It is a joke what this man does and how simple it is, but what I think is funny, Kyler, is you and I, for my first 3 years, your first 2 years at Knoxville Catholic, we ran the wing tee. For the longest time, we ran the wing tee. The wing tee is the absolute complete opposite of what Josh Heupel does. But what fascinates me and gets my football juices going is that it's the same principles of discipline. Your eyes have to be there, and right when you make the smallest of missteps, it's over. And you could say, hey, Reed, a lot of football is like that. And it's like, technically it is, but like, let me talk when Pruitt was here, and Pruitt wanted to run pro style, run it down people's throat, set up play action, maybe even like my Titans do. They want to do that, and that's fine. And there are still a lot of whatever. There's still a lot of small things that these offensive coaches can do that make people, but it's just wild to see that we would run that wing tee, and it was so perfect in high school because you had to ask high schoolers to read their keys every play. Are you always going to watch the guard pull or what he does as a linebacker, or are you going to chase ball? Are you going to try to watch the fullback? Are you as a safety going to watch the tight end or number 2, or are you going to watch the ball in the quarterback and get burnt? And I'll explain this. On that one that Jalin Hyatt's, the play action, the reason that play worked so well is because Alabama all read their keys, and they didn't – well, excuse me, the front 7 all read their keys.
Whoever was the naked boot where he ended up scoring?
Yeah. And so it was funny because we ran – and I'm going to explain the difference why that worked so well compared to why the Jacob first down didn't work so well as we get going. But I watch – and Heupel says you might have 9 players that are better. So you got 9 players that are better. I have 2. That's okay because guess what? I'm going to use my 2 against yours, and we'll see what happens. So first play of the game, he runs the dig combo. Or I mean the post combo. And this guy's just running the exact same route combos that he's been doing all year.
Which is why it's like even more insane that we got.
That's what I'm saying.
Points.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this isn't Mike Leach, or this isn't any of these offensive people who are like, every play, we got all these different route combos and all these different options. Like, no, dude's like, we're going to take your 2 versus my 2. And my 2 are Brew McCoy and Jalin Hyatt. And Jalen's going to run a wheel. On this one, he curls it up. And Brew McCoy's just going to go in and run a dig. And then we have good protection. And this is where it is a team game. You got to have good protection. You got to have a good quarterback, throws it there. But he makes it so simple for Hendon Hooker to be like, you're looking this way, you got 2 reads. If it's not there, get what you can get or throw the ball away. And it's just like, he just takes everything else out of it. Saban's got 9 better players. It doesn't matter because those guys don't have a chance with the way he schemes stuff up. So anyways, that's just a little soapbox. So I love that we started that. Like you said, great catch by Brew in traffic. The other thing that made me so happy about this was that we showed that we can start fast. Hey, we've started fast against every other team in the nation. Are we going to do it against Alabama? Yes, we did. And we didn't just throw it down your face or throw it over the top. And that's what I heard some people in the Bama section saying, like, because I was just saying it was too easy. And they'd be like, all their touchdowns are just so lucky. Like, they just throw it over the top when we, like, really drive it down the field. And, like, all those are just so lucky. And I was just like, oh, my God, that's the stupidest thing. I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I said, it's so easy for us. We can do it in 1, 2, or 3 plays. And like I said, it wasn't just Jalin over the top. We ran it right down your throat for 6, 7, 8 yards. And then Hendon got 5 or 6. And then we threw you know what I mean? So it was like the whole toolbox was working.
Yeah. When we have 7 yards of runs, we can do play action and it be wide the hell open.
And you know what? The Jacob Texas route is, whether we do it with him, whether we maybe run a receiver in motion and do it, or we do it with the back, it is always it, and the whip route will always be my favorite route combos because I think they're so difficult to stop. And so seeing that, and you know what? I'll give kudos to number 15 for Alabama. He saw Mincy get rolled up on, and Mincy was laying there, and he went down and tried to tap him like, bro, you good? Like, come on, get up. Like, you're all right. Like, and I really appreciated seeing that. I just wanted to give him a shout out because I noticed that when I was rewatching film. But anyway,
that made me super nervous whenever that did happen. And then Mincy came back out. And then when I didn't see him again, I was like, oh crap, is this more serious than what we thought? And I have no idea, obviously, like no one said anything about it, but Jeremiah comes in and we don't miss a beat and he plays his ass off. And that freaking video is the most badass shit I've ever seen in my life.
It was so sick.
The guy is worn the hell out because he hasn't played a full game in a year. Like, he didn't start. You know what I mean? Like, he was rotating with Dane until Mincy came back. Didn't play a full game last week. And he comes in. He's freaking worn the hell out. So he throws up in the middle of a huddle and immediately looks at the guy he's about to block and just nods his head. Like, yeah, motherfucker, I'm coming. It don't matter if I throw up. Doesn't matter if I'm bleeding. Doesn't matter if I'm broke. I'm coming for your ass.
It was one of the no hyperbole, it was one of the most badass things I've seen on a football field. And I've been playing and watching football a long time. And it was so cold-blooded. It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable, dude. I cream in my jeans. Cream in my jeans. Love it.
All right, next
okay, so let's see. Where are we at? Okay. So we get ball back. Great blitz pickup by Jabari. Like just saying again, like
I'm just gonna check.
Yeah, the ability for him to pick up those blitzes now compared to before is just insane. Hendon throws it deep, trying to give Jalin like a chance. I think Jalin can learn how to sell a PI more, because if he kind of puts his foot in the ground, jumps up and back towards the ball and has the defender running into his chest, it's a PI. But he kind of like waited and tried to catch the ball. So that's just, obviously that's not like, hey, this is a number one thing you need to know as a wide receiver, but it is something that can be part of a game, like a wide receiver's game.
That would be something that like he could work on in the offseason, like his jump balls.
I mean, it doesn't have to be number one, but it's like, here's something that we can work on.
As athletes, you always want to add something to your toolbox.
Yeah. Okay, so then we do a quarterback counter. Just incredible blocking up front. Honestly, Darnell moves Will Anderson about 5 or 6 yards downfield. We get the puller through onto Henry. Hendon lowers his head, tries to get a few yards, gets about 3. And then everyone saw it. Fucking Toa trying to throw knees at Hendon's head. And it's just like, that's who that fucking guy is. That's who that guy is. That's why everybody doesn't like him. Because that's his kind of character. And when things are tough, he fucking quits. I would rather have Jeremy Banks 1,000 times before I have fucking Henry Toa on my team.
Well, Jeremy Banks played a better game. Like, he played a better guy. He's playing better linebacker. But my favorite troll of the entire night, and for me on that offensive possession, I said the same thing. Hendon's got to hit Jalin because he beat the guy. Shocker. He ran by someone and burned him. Great blitz pickup by Jabari. And then the motion to the slot shot. It was a great protection to throw, so I want to give kudos there. Another thing I'm really starting to fall in love with how Jalen Wright runs the football. That son of a gun runs. He is not the biggest. He's not the strongest. He's not the fastest. But, damn it, that guy gets yards when he shouldn't, just from sheer will and determination. I love how he runs. Now, my favorite troll job of the entire night is it was real quiet, and Jabari, I think, caught it or broke in the open field and absolutely just shook Henry T. And I was like, we know Henry T can't make tackles. We know Henry T can't make tackles. And then I just go, where are you transferring to next, Henry T? You going to Georgia? I said, you going to the Yankees? You want to go play for the Golden State Warriors? And, like, I saw a couple Bama fans, like, kind of laugh, and then a couple of them got mad. And as Jack and I were leaving the game, and, we were there for a while because we rushed the field. We were down there and everything. We soaked it all up. And then, as we were leaving, the Bama fan, and I did not know this, but the Bama fans have to walk. I mean, the Bama players have to walk outside, and they have it roped off. But, I mean, I can touch them if I want to. And there's a bunch of losers down there, like, trying to get autographs, like grown men, like, trying to get Bama autographs. And then there's some player families. But as we're leaving and all the players, I just start giving it. I'm like, tell Henry T to transfer again. Tell him to go to Georgia. Tell him to call up the Yankees, Golden State Warriors, Buffalo Bills. I was like, where's he going next? And like some Bama fan lady, and it might have been a player's mom, I don't know. She's just like turning around. She's like, shut up. Just shut your mouth. And I was like, dude's a quitter. He's a front runner.
That's the best thing to do is completely ignore that lady and just keep saying what you want.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, that was my favorite troll job of the entire night. I had a bunch of people like that.
Reed was enjoying himself.
Yeah.
But okay, so the rest of that drive, we get a 12-man on the field and a PI on Ramel in the same play. So go down further. Ramel creates some great space on a slant when guy is on his grill. And, it pans away and pans back, which kind of sucks because you miss it. But it's like, dude was pressed. It panned back when Ramel caught the slant, and he's like 5 yards away from Ramel. And a tight ball by Hendon. Then we spread them out, 5-on-5 blockers. We have 5 offensive linemen. They have 5 guys in the box. Jalin Hyatt, this is what you're talking about. Fights for yards, gets 9. And it's like, I will take that every day of the fucking week. Give me 5 versus 5. Give me my 5 versus your 5. I love that. And then the touchdown to Jalin. It's the same play we ran versus LSU, motion tight end. He goes in to look like he's blocking for the screen. Jalin is the slot guy, looks like he's supposed to block, and just takes off.
He really, Heupel really shows up to the golf course with a driver, a 7-iron, a wedge, and a putter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he does, man. It's just like it just in the discipline that these guys and the communication that they have to have in the back end in a very, very quick span of time. But also, like, when you have a guy like Jalin, it just adds to it because he's coming so quick and so fast, and your eyes get caught. Okay, I see the motion coming. Let me take a look. Is this going to be a screen? The next thing you know, he's broken your cushion. And if you're even, you're leaving, is what they say. And that boy is leaving you. The best thing you can do is turn around and grab him and take a 15-yard PI. So you know what? Like, Heupel just comes up and he goes, "We're going to run the same thing." And that's what I'm saying. Like, why I think it's hilarious, because just like the wing tee, we're going to go right 38 and left 35, and we just do the same thing. And the next thing, 1 second, you're not watching what you do. Boom. And it's right up the gut. It just
it's
looks,
like they
so
gave it to the fullback instead of handing it to the wingback.
It's so demoralizing too. It's so, because it's so simple, but yet, like, and you know, the other thing is, Skyler, I was watching, I stopped and paused the game a lot to count numbers. And like, I was like, why are these guys not, when we have 4 wide, just bring in dime, I guess it would be. So 4 corners and 2 safeties. But they know they can't do that, because if they do that, they are absolutely going to get run out of the gym with the light box. And so these coaches, man, every play, it's just like, well, I need deep receiver. I need these deep safeties to give these guys help. And it's like, okay, well, then we're going to run it with Hendon or Jabari, and we're good. We are good enough. That was what happened last year. Last year, we'd have a little bit of mistakes, or maybe we weren't clean enough on the offensive line, and we weren't able to run it so people could really play the pass. This year, you're doomed if you don't. You know, you're doomed. You know, you're going to die either way, like, because we're going to attack you one way. If you give us a light box, we're going to run, and if not, it's over the top of your head. And so I'm going to be very excited to see what defense coordinators finally have to come up with, because like I said at one point, I said I guess just going to I don't know, like I don't know what they do. I really don't. And so I
mean, that's the thing too, is like, because we don't sub personnel and we have all 4 of those wide receivers, they need to, you know, if they were to bring in all those DBs and then we just change up a formation, then it's like, you know, our tight ends into block.
Well,
like I'll take Jacob Warren on a freaking nickel all day. Like, if that's the extra guy he has to block in the box, like, thank you.
And that's what I was going to say. Our personnel is so sneaky because we'll have Princeton and Jacob as almost like the 3rd or 4th receiver with Ramel, Brew, and Jalin. And so if we do come into there, well, we got an advantage there with, like you said, with the tight end. So you can't really run dime, you know, which is 4 corners and 2 safeties. And then what? Then you're going to leave 1 linebacker in the middle of the field? Like, yes, please.
Okay. So end up scoring on that one. Big touchdown to Jalin. Next drive. First, starting off, great pickup by Jalin Hyatt on a blitz. And like I said, Jabari and Jalin Hyatt both impressive in their blitz pickups. Great protection and a dig to Ramel across the middle. The next play, Jalin gets the ball, mixing great jump cut to get 5 yards. Like, focuses trying to get outside. It bounces Henry Toto out there. Then he just jump cuts back in and goes straight upfield for another good 5 yards. It's just so. Our next run was not even blocked correctly. Like, literally, offensive linemen missed guys, but because we were moving so fast, Alabama wasn't quite set up. We still got like 3 or 4 yards, and it's like, that's the up tempo that people don't think about. It's like, bro, they're not even. They can't even concentrate on their technique and what they're supposed to do because we're going so fast, and they can't get off blocks and make a tackle.
And that's what, I mean, obviously that's what gives us our big advantage. And it's kind of like what Chip Kelly did with the Oregon back in the day. But the difference with us is we have, and I like it better because we take those deep shots. And so we I keep saying almost saying Auburn. Oregon really spreaded it this way. Well, we spread it this way, but we still attack you a lot right here, whether it's run game or passing. You know what I mean?
I love when Gary Danielson said later in the
Oregon,
game, they don't really attack the middle in the passing game much.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, and that's why that speed, kills so much. But yeah, so for me, the Ramel Keaton catch and then the oop and then to get by, just sick. I love seeing that little move.
Yeah, that was a little bit later, but yeah, he's ridiculous.
Awesome blocks by So awesome blocks by Darnell, Spraggs, and Cooper to seal one side. Great patient running by Jalin Hyatt. And this is where you let me know when you're done, because then I'm going to explain why that play worked so well to Jalin Hyatt.
No, that was the next play that I was going to bring up and talk about is the sell by the offensive line that it is a run. The sell by Hendon staring at Jalin Hyatt as he's bubbling out of the backfield and almost giving a little pump fake. 9 out of 11 defenders at Alabama were running that way. We're just running that way. Like, it is definitely going to Jalin Hyatt. It is definitely a swing pass just taking off. Jalin Hyatt coming from behind the line of scrimmage, so it hides him a little bit. Hell, him and Brew were both open on that play. And then, like I said before, this is where I'm like, Jalin, why aren't you attempting to get into the end zone?
Like truck stick or dive or something like that, or just cut, just juke inside.
Just give me some effort. It looked like you were just like, like, I hope he hits me. He
speed, man. So he knew that he was like, I'm just gonna try to put my head down, get there as fast as I can. Is what
he didn't put his head down.
I know.
That's what I'm saying, Reed. Even your description of what someone should do, he didn't.
Okay, well, he just used his speed to get there. Okay, now let me say this. The reason this play works so well is exactly what you said. Because as a football player, whether you're a linebacker, corner, safety, whatever, everyone has keys that they are reading. I never played defensive line, so I don't really know like what defensive line, how their keys are supposed to be or whatever. I think they're more just control adapt. But as linebacker, safety, corner, you were watching your keys. So, and I took a screenshot of this picture. And like I said, I know you like to play plays, but I'm going to send you pictures because the screenshots are incredible. When the linebackers and the safeties and everything, Jacob Bourne, whoever was guarding him, he goes out to block. So that guy says, okay, I got to get my edge. All these people that are watching the pulling guards and the linemen go that way, they're all flowing that way. If we had done, because later in the game, we have a play action, but all the offensive linemen are showing pass. And so the play action doesn't really do anything. But in this one, you get the entire flow that way. And whoever was supposed to be guarding Jalin either A, has their eyes in the wrong spot, or B, just can't keep up with his speed because he's doing the motion and you're trying to run through motion to fight through traffic. And I mean, fight through traffic before the plays even started. Your linebackers are sitting here. So if you're trying to run, are you going around me going? So that's why people do that. But like you said, we had Brew on the edge, on the end, and whoever was guarding him did not have his eyes in the right spot because he has a free release and then truck sticks the referee on accident. Yeah. So the reason that play was so beautiful, and it was a lot of what and it made me think of Coach DeBoer did with you guys down in Bama when he would pull both guards. Yeah. So that this linebacker has to go this way and this linebacker has to go this way because if you are reading your keys appropriately, you're taken out of the play. And if you're not reading your keys appropriately, you can be screwed too because your guy's running right and you got your eyes watching the ball. So you're kind of doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. And that's why that play worked, and that's why it was a thing of beauty.
Thing of beauty. But like you said, you were comparing it to the later 4th down attempt by Jacob, where it's like you don't see the sell as much.
Right.
So it didn't help.
And I have some other things that I wasn't pumped about that play, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll talk about it as we get there. Okay, so touchdown on that. Then our next drive is the one that stalls. Go 3 and out. It starts because the very first play, Jalin Hyatt's looking over at the sideline. He's not even ready to get the ball. I think probably like they did whatever play call. They did whatever like hand motions they were supposed to, and Jalin wasn't looking. So then once they got done, he was looking over like, hey, where is it? Give it to me. And they snapped the ball. So that was like a gain for nothing. And then like great protection on third down. It completion to Fant, but he's not quite to the first down. And it's like, well, yeah, that like sucks. Like, I don't blame Fant at all. When it first happened, I was like, cut and get upfield. Like, don't like try and keep going laterally. But at the same time, like there wasn't much room either way for him to try and get a first down. So we end up punting. But then number 34, who's probably dead now, just ends up touching the ball for some reason. Have no clue. Even if he did think it got touched by somebody, why the hell are you touching it? Because you don't even need to pick it up. Like you're not a return guy. You're a damn linebacker. So idiot play by him, but thank you, sir. We get the ball. I mean, that now we have the Ramel stop and run. Now we have his little hitch inside, catches the ball, or it probably was a dig. And he caught it as he was on his route, and then just stop, juke that guy out, turn 0 to 60 up the sideline. I was freaking out for the tackler behind him, but gets a first down for it. Darnell on that play locked down Will Anderson, one-on-one protection, just nothing happening. Then the next play, the O-line drives Jabari for an extra 4 yards, and they did it all night long and got extra yards just driving the pile. And that fires me the hell up, dude. And then you just see Spraggs come out of the pile, just freaking fists, like, let's go. Like, you ain't stopping us. Oh, man, it fires me up. Then the refs are, like, holding us up, even though we didn't sub. And then it's like a mincy penalty, false start. But then they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, refs, can you guys just get out of the damn way, please? Just do your job, get out of the way. And then under center, fullback dive to Fant, which I don't know if I love the play.
It's my least favorite play call I've seen Heupel make.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think this is really going to work much. But Fant fights his ass off, bounces off of just a pile of humans. No one grabs him, and then bounces outside, is able to drive through a tackle, and Jabari going out in a little swing pattern really helped Fant on that, like bring that defender away to where he could get to where he needed to, into the end zone. But yeah, I don't know if I really like that play either.
That is what we call individual efforts, people stepping up and making plays when they need to. Instead of him driving his, just trying to drive and push and getting tackled. No, he made a hell of an individual play. Prince of Fant played a really well game, made his catches when he was supposed to, had a really nice route later in the game, good big time. Oh, you already talked about it. It was a great route, stick, because the corner, I watched it a couple of times, that corner safety was ever guarding him, had unbelievable position. If you are inside position and you get beat inside position, that's like a freaking 10 commandment sin that you don't give up. If you're a DB, like you already have inside. And so Princeton runs to him, kind of stops, acts like he's going out, and then stutters and gets back in. Now, I know he came up a little bit short, but that was all effort. And honestly, Kyler, on that touchdown, I don't mind handing the ball to Prince of Fant. I don't, because he is a big guy and he is, pretty good with the ball in his hands. I just didn't like that they did it from fullback, and we got really lucky because we did it later in the game and it got stopped, but it got blown dead because of the penalty. So that's when we had 4th and 6 and got the PI. But that's the only play call I didn't love. Like, if you're going to give it to him, maybe just let him be a running back. And I don't know if they're worried about the depth at the handoff or whatever, but I just don't like that he's right there at fullback. But the blocking was actually unbelievable block by Jacob Warren. Great block by Darnell. Spraggs. It was either Spraggs or Jerome. I'm not sure who was on the right over there. The right side Spraggins.
Right guard is Spraggs.
Yeah, so great job by Darnell Spraggs and Cooper. And the only way that play almost got made was because the backside end did a really good job of crossing face on Mincy. And it was just, it's hard for Mincy to get there. And Mincy tried to go ahead and dump him. But, so that was the reason that the pressure came from that side. But the right side did a great job blocking. And then, like I said, unbelievable effort by Prince Defant. Now, when it comes to that punt, first off, I don't know what Paxton Brooks is doing, but you got to pull your head out of your butt. And we haven't talked about it yet because we haven't talked about defense, but that crowd, and I don't know, it's just the crowd, the atmosphere, the game, whatever. But this Bama team, who is supposed to be very disciplined and just they were rattled, bro. They were rattled. Like they were trying to make when people just say, do your job, we say it all the time. Like it's as simple as that. Just do your job. Don't try to be a hero. Make the plays when they come to you. If you're Jalin Hyatt, just make the catches when they're there. It's nothing special. Just make the catches that are dialed up for you. For this guy, go out there, make your block. If the ball's on the ground. The other thing, too, that you made, even if he thought someone touched it, don't try to pick it up and run. Fall on it. What are you doing trying to pick it up? And and you got to give credit, besides just him being an idiot, it was an unbelievable veteran play by Solon Page to shove his ass on that.
As soon as he started bending over.
Yeah, Solon Page, absolutely. And then you got to give credit to everybody else. So, who else was there? So it was Solon Page on the shove. You had Christian Charles, who's a starting corner, who's out there on the play. You got 47, I think, who's a long snapper. He's there right there. You had a bunch of guys around the ball. Like I said, when the plays were there, Kyler, you got to make them, and they made them. And so, anyways, yeah, fantastic job to take advantage of someone else's mistake.
Yeah, incredible. This special team, it's just, bro, you look at this team and you're like, yeah, they're great. They're 6-0. They've been great all season. It's actually, they've been improving all season. They've been getting better and better and better all season long in multiple aspects. It's Georgia, I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for this team coming. They just keep getting better each week. And I just special teams, blocking, all of it. It's incredible.
I mean, you want to talk about week to week, the difference between the Purdue game to the middle of the season this year. I mean, it's unbelievable what those players and those coaches are doing over there. It really is. There's no other words to say. It's unbelievable. It really is.
Okay, so next drive comes up. This is where Gary said they don't attack the middle of the field with their passing. I was like, God, you're an idiot. Hendon just taking opportunities when he gets them. They drop 8 guys, rush through. He's like, okay.
I did the same thing. I was like, you want to drop 8? Okay. He's smart. All right.
Yeah, I'll just take off. No big deal. See you later. Just clean pockets. They end up PI on Brew. Let's see.
This is where Jabari drilled.
Gosh, yeah. Then the next play. So Hendon's, looking to run, sees Jabari's open, tries to kind of just dump it to him, tips off Jabari's hands. It's not an easy catch, but I expect him to catch it. But the effort to make that not an interception and not by Henry Toto, if he would have got a pick, it would have ruined the taste of the game for me. Obviously, it would have made a huge difference because we ended up scoring, but also that he got the interception would have been awful.
Where I was sitting, Kyler, that ball was in the air forever, and I immediately was like, "Oh my God, that's Henry T." I was like, and then when he dropped it, of course, I was like, "He can't." I was like, "There he is. He's not making plays." There he is. But when I
that's what he did with us too. What a ball!
When I rewatched it on TV, you legitimately, because they show it in slow-mo, you see Jabari go like that, knows he drops it, turns, he sees it, and you see him dive and just throw his body in there. I mean, that is a hell of a heads-up play. You want to make up for something real quick? He did it. He did it fast.
A half second after.
Yeah.
So incredible by Jamari. And then I remember at this point, because I've already said it a couple times, Darnell's just locking down Will Anderson, and then he's on the other side, some on Mincy, and he's locking him down too. I'm like, is Will Anderson a good pass rusher? I didn't watch games. I didn't watch Alabama games last year. I know he got like 17 and a half sacks, but I never watched their games because I don't give a shit about them. And he didn't show me anything. Like, I was not like, oh, look at that move he just put on. Look at that, what he just did. I'm like, did he get these sacks being unblocked? Like, was it twists? Was it random blitzes? He's already had a down year this year. People have been, haven't been talking about him at all. And in no way do I think that's because of our blocking scheme. It was just because of our tackles. And that's it. Here's another blocking by Jacob, which is great. Bubble to Jabari.
He got 2 dudes.
Yeah, he got 2 dudes. Great blocking on his first one, pushed him into another one. Great cut by Jabari, reading the block.
Jalin.
And then, we're close to a first down. Hooker pulls the ball. He literally pulled it not because a crashing DN. He pulled it just because he looked at the defense and was like, it's open over there. I'm going. Gets a first down. He gets a sack. There is plenty of time for him. He is back there long enough to get rid of that ball, to get it to somebody. Both guys were covered. He didn't have a place to go. Ramel was about a half second away from being wide open. It was just a deep route, and then we end up giving the sack. So I'm not blaming offensive line. And they said it right when it happened. Bama is on like a 5-game streak of having 3 or more sacks in a game. That was their only one. So impressive by the offensive line. They drop 8 again, dumps it off to Jalin. Jalin makes a move, gets some yards. Another blitz pickup by Coop and Jabari. They do the 2 linebackers running up the middle. We talked about it before, like Coop not picking a guy to get, confusing Jabari, talking about Jabari thinking he has the other one and picks up that. What do? They adjust, they grow, they watch the film. Now they both pick them up. Hendon takes off, gets 5 yards. It's like, that's what I love to see. And then they send a blitz. O-line picks it up perfectly, and Hendon just barely misses Ramel. Just barely overthrows him. I think he was just a little too excited because he had time. He had time to make that play and wasn't able to.
The 4th and 6 where we go for it. Yeah. Right. So only other thing I'm going to add about that drive that you didn't say. Never mind. No, only thing I'm going to talk about is at 4th and 6. I'm fine with going for it. Shocker. Josh Heupel dials up a perfect play. And that throw was obviously Ramel's not as fast as Jalin, so there wasn't as much separation. Ramel did have a step, but the field was shrinking a little bit because we're 40 yards out. So it did have to be. When I was in the stands, I was like, "Oh, geez, come on, Hendon, like make the throw." As I watched it on TV and watched it back, I was like, "That's a very tough throw to make. Yeah. You don't underthrow it. You don't want it to be picked. You want to give your guy a shot at it, but, put it where only he can get it." And he didn't complete it. But that wasn't one that I thought that was like, oh, my gosh, what are you doing? Bad miss. But, hey, you know what? It would have been great to have right before half, but, it didn't happen. I'm going to jump to the next possession of offense. And this is where my notes for offense start trickling down because we're not even basically to halftime. Or we're right at halftime, and I have 4 pages of notes, and I'm like, I can't break down every single play for these people. Yeah. But I will say, I just started picking big highlights, good or bad. I love the fact that we didn't overthink it. We just went under center and got the easy first down on 3rd down. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. That's what we did with Hendon. Go ahead and talk about what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't necessarily like the throws to Fant and him not like having the ability to get out of bounds. Like I thought, run those 5-yard out routes. You love to run so much in that situation. I love bringing in Milton though for the Hail Mary because he's got a damn cannon. Like he threw it 60 yards. It didn't even look like he tried.
Well, I watched it on TV. That ball hit Bruce's hands perfectly. And then And then Brew almost had a chance on the rebound as well, which good job by Brew that once he dropped it to rotate to look, because in college football now, you literally have a guy like when Jawan went up and caught that one against Georgia. If you watch, Josh Smith is the trail player, which is like wait for anything to bounce off and try to catch it. So Brew had it, and I'm going to tell you, Brew had caught that as number 15, 2 15s. I was like, I would have been like,
and go up freaking what 15 before halftime.
But also the fact that number 15 did it again. But yeah, and so out of halftime, that was when I was talking about the offensive drive. That I love that we did the sneak. This is the 4th and 2 play, so we get the sneak, we get a first down. Great, smart. Don't overcomplicate things. But the 4th and 2 play, I don't mind the play call, Kyler, but I like that play call maybe if it's like 2nd and 1. But because if it's a 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, I might be okay with it, but I think there's plays I like better because you're not throwing the ball past the line of scrimmage. And anytime you don't throw it past the line to gain, you always leave something sketchy that could happen, whether it's a catch and the guy turns upfield and he just slips, or there's good defensive back play, or whatever the case may be. And Jacob did a good job catching and basically turning his big butt upfield and trying to, but there was 3 dudes there waiting on him. So the only thing that I don't like is like, I'm good with that on 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1. I don't like it on a 4th and a long 2. I mean, it wasn't 4th and inches. It wasn't 4th and 1. It was a long 2, and you're not getting the ball past the line of scrimmage. And like I said, they didn't move the offensive line, so there wasn't a guys reading keys. You know, Jacob didn't go up and stock block first and then roll out. You know what I mean? So there wasn't a lot of deception to it.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, that was one of my things that I wrote down was like, have Jacob run the route more into the first down, not just straight down the line of scrimmage, to give him a little bit of, where he just has to turn and lean and get there.
And that's
instead of running to get there.
And that's why I said I like it a little bit more if it's like 4th and inches, 4th and 1, because there's not much, running down the line of scrimmage is basically first. But then again, like if it's 4th and inches, I'm like, bro, just sneak it. I don't want the ball in the air.
Exactly. Some things that happened before that, we tried to run that option. They sent 2 defenders, got taken down. Ramel on that deep ball just stopped running. He tried to turn around and slow down and catch it. It's like, dude, you were fine. Just keep running. Do exactly what you did versus Florida. Just run underneath the ball.
That was one in the stands that we all thought was an overthrow, but when you see it on TV, Ramel's got to keep running. Exactly. And I remember as a receiver, there were times that was a bad habit that I had, is if I was by somebody or it was a blown coverage, let's be honest, I'm not running by too many people. So if it was like a lapse in coverage or if it was zone and I found the zone, like I would almost like stop and wait on it. And Tyler would be like, bro, what do you like? Just keep running. And I got caught where like, I would be running, and as I turned and I see it, I like stop slowing up. It's like, no, like you got to keep.
Yeah, quit slowing down, looking for the ball.
Yeah, exactly. So I felt that one personally.
Yeah. So also, Ramel missed a block on that 4th down, where I think if his defender doesn't join on the tackle of Jacob, that Jacob can push and get a first. Let's see. Next drive, quarterback draw. Some good runs by Jalin, good cuts, reading his blockers, with blockers like pulling around instead of up and through. And then good protection, and Jalin just runs by dudes. This is his 4th touchdown, I think. Third. I mean, there's 2 guys back there to pay attention to, and Jalin just runs by both of them. It's insane.
So first off, I love this route because what they did is they really stemmed him out from the slot, and then he still even took a step out, like he was going to maybe do a almost like a corner route, and then as he stems, takes 1 or 2 steps out towards the sideline even more, and then just breaks it back up. The safety had no chance. No chance. And, like, this is where I stopped the film and was like, what are they doing? Like, how can you ask these guys to do this because it literally looked like they were. I swear to you, Kyler, it looked like almost like a combo defense, where it was like because the two outside guys were man, but then it looked like the safeties and the linebackers were almost in zone. So therefore, if Jalin did come in the safety zone, then it does become man for him. It's just like you just give Jalin a free release. I mean, and then the way he runs the route, no one can touch him. Like even the safety can't get a real punch before turning and running with him. It's just like that's where I was like, I mean, maybe on certain, and this is something I'm going to talk about on the defensive pod. I thought Tennessee did a great job of winning first down so that they could dictate the personnel that they brought in on second and definitely third downs.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Bama could never do that to us. Bama couldn't put us in a position where it was 3rd and 15 and say, you know what, let's go dime or let's even go nickel and man someone up because we were always in those good situations.
Yeah, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, like those random ones where we could run. And also the field position. Like when we got in plus territory, it was like they're going to go for it on 4th down. Like you almost knew
you
it.
Just took it out of my mouth. I was going to say the exact. You can't give Heupel a 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 10 sounds kind of bad. But if we're in no man's land and Heupel's not punting or kicking a field goal, he's like, all right, 2 plays, I get 10 yards. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I'll run the ball on 3rd and 8, which is what he did. All right, so let's finish up the offensive side of the ball before we head into defense. I guess last few things going. Jalin, I think we finished on one of his last touchdowns. Shout out to Ramel. Had a out of bounds catch that was absolutely ridiculous.
That Moss was silly.
Like the fact that he still caught it and it was out of bounds was crazy. The INT that Hendon threw, so he couldn't really step up in it, and he just overthrew that dig route coming, but he was open. It just sucks because Hendon's so consistent and so good that he has now an interception on his resume. Let's see. I'm just like little things on here. I'm like Jabari following his blocks, twist picks ups. Jalen's just running past. Jalen just run past defenders. Twist picks up. We protect Jalen, run past defenders again. Then we have that 2-point play. So we do that shovel pass again, like everyone saw on that 4th down that we did versus Florida, I believe. Am I correct in that? Or was it versus LSU? Yeah, it was LSU. Sorry. It's just an amazing play call for that down and that distance. It like matches perfectly with what you're doing. And I freaking love that because defenses are not expecting it. So pretty. The fumble on the handoff, that's on Hendon. You have to make the decision as the quarterback, hey, I'm giving it to you, or hey, I'm taking it myself. It's not on the running back, it's on the quarterback. So, it's 2 turnovers on Hendon, just on him and what he's doing.
The read option concept is so wild. It's so funny that as a running back, you literally just have it in your belly and in your gut, and you don't know whether you're getting it or not.
I know.
And it's it's a real lackadaisical, you have your pocket, but it's a funny thing.
Yeah, you're not supposed to take it. You're just supposed to sit there and let him give it to you. And it's such a weird concept.
It is. It really is.
So that one's on Hendon. After that, they score immediately. Then we get back on the field. The first play, the offensive line drives Jabari an extra 6 yards for a first down. And it's like, dude, this team does not freaking quit. They don't. It does not exist. Quit.
Well, let me elaborate on that too. Besides saying they don't quit, that's a great thing. That's maybe number one. You don't want to quit. You want to fight. The other thing is it's probably 1B is they don't get frazzled. You don't get rattled. Because there's plenty of times that you can go out there and not quit and continue to get effort. But if you're not executing, if you're not playing smart, if you're not disciplined, if you're not making the plays, then the effort doesn't even really matter, besides just getting a pat on the back at the end of the game, like, hey man, you didn't quit out there. It's like, you know what I mean? But like they answered. And I have that in this on these notes. It's like they answered. And it's impressive as hell.
I know. They just do it over and over and over again. And this drive was so impressive the way they just down the field, like just put it together. Fourth down conversion. Actually, wasn't it a penalty on 4th and inches?
So that's the one that I was talking to you about earlier, about how
they handed it off the fan.
Yeah, and I didn't necessarily love it, but then there was the penalty, so it went back to the 4th and 6, and that's when we did the rollout, and Hendon just had to give it a chance, and it was PI. The guy grabbed Princeton Fant before it happened.
Yeah, they did. I mean, he definitely did, and I hate people comparing it to, and we'll get into it later, like Rutgers play, the Alabama fans. I'm like, one guy had a hold of the receiver before the ball got there. The other guy stuck one hand in front of the receiver and batted the ball away. That's completely different.
Well, what about the PI where great play by Bryce Young to dance around and throws it up? And honestly, it was a veteran play by the Alabama player. He grabbed Deshaun Rucker and pulled him with him and then threw his hands up like a flop job. And like, hey man, sometimes you got to give kudos to them for, getting away with it and pulling a little sneaky snake.
Yeah. I mean, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying kind of thing. Where
Right.
It's just, I've cheated before out there. So it's like, I can't be mad at the guy, but like in no possible way should they call PI on us. Like it's such a stretch. But like I said, we'll get into that.
Well, that's how they made it look, though. So
I know. And then, we get Jalin on a post pattern. He ends up scoring his 5th touchdown of the day. It was wide open. You got man coverage with a safety. Jalin can do whatever he wants over there. And it's just like this team does not give up. And then we get the ball back with 15 seconds. And what does Hendon do? Knows where it's open field, knows that they're going to be trying to defend the sidelines, hits 2 guys, knows he has 2 timeouts, not a big worry. Huge catch by Brew McCoy. I mean, absolutely massive. And Chase McGrath wins us a game, baby.
So I just want to let everyone know. I mean, we literally, so Monday today, I'm working. Kyler is they got an off day. So Kyler's company is owned by Austin Rogers. So he's a Vol for life, and he gave the boys day off. But obviously Kyler is a project manager, has a bunch of projects going across Tennessee or across Nashville, so he's getting calls. So we are literally fitting this in between my work calls, in between Kyler stuff, and all these different things. And so we don't want you guys to feel rushed, but we could legitimately sit here and talk for 3 hours. But, like, we gave you a lot of play breakdowns, and so now offensively we're kind of just hitting those last little overviews for the last little bit of the game. And you did a great job on hitting those. And for me, the answer, and like I've already said, the answer, the fortitude to not let your nerves get the best of you, to just handle business. Just it ain't personal. We're just handling business. So y'all want to score and get a gift? Okay, that's fine. That's the first time y'all really kind of having the lead. I know they had the lead when we missed the PAT, but I'm just saying y'all take the lead. Now we got to play catch up. It's okay. We're going to do what we do. It's the pressure's on. We're going to make the plays. We go down and score, and this ties us right into defense because after we score, the defense makes a stop. They miss the field goal. And I'm telling you what, Kyler, the protection by the offensive line, the step up in the pockets and throws and catches by Ramel Keaton and Brew McCoy I saw that catch. Like, I had the perfect angle. Like I said, they were coming my way. I was right there. And I see him step up and throw that ball, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. And Brew just goes up and just big bodies it, uses his hand, gets drilled, makes a catch. And like I said, you know what? I'm not going to knock Jalin. I'm going to use this as an opportunity just to show Brew and say, hey, you know what? We got our speed guy, but we got our big body, physical, hands receiver who, when you need a play like that to go make a jump ball to catch something contested, and Ramel got whapped too on his, and it's hilarious, man. We take it over with 13 seconds and 1 or 2 timeouts. It's like, hey, it's just business, baby. We get there. The offensive line does a great job. They make the blocks, and Chase, it wasn't pretty. It's like one of those chip shots that you accidentally top, but somehow it works out for you by rolling. And if it rolls in, you say, hey, you don't grade it, you just count it.
That's right.
Once that thing went in, I mean, I wish you could have been there with us. And when we were lining up, everyone around us, I mean, the energy and the tenseness was just, it's something I'll remember forever. And I'm just sitting there, and it was so surreal. I'm sitting there and I'm just waiting, and they call a timeout. And I've got a lady next to me who's just freaking out. Like, she can't watch. She's holding on to her husband, and Jack's kind of starting to pace. And I just look, I said, he's going to make it. Like, he's going to make it. Like, we're going to win this game. Like, I just know it. Like, I have a feeling we're going to make it. Now, I might not have felt so great and a little bit more nervous if it was to tie the game, or like if they were up 1. So it's still to win the game, but they're winning. So if he misses it, but the fact, I think it's nice for Chase. I don't know if he'd ever admit it, but it was nice knowing that, hey, you're not going to lose the game. We still got overtime. Sure. It's still got overtime here. It's like little golf talk. We're already in with par, so I can really go at it for this birdie.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're going to be okay. I'm going to try for this birdie.
So, hey, just get a good kick on it. But, damn it, he made it. And that place, man, I got a great video of it. That place just obviously went bananas, and I just soaked it in. I soaked it in, the players running, the people around me. And then I just turned around and hugged Jack, and we just embraced, man. And I loved how we said we did it as if we played. Now, we gave our all up there in the stands. I mean, neither of us had voices. We did everything we could, but we just hugged, and we did it, man. We did it. And then it was, let's get down on the field and enjoy it. It's funny.
You steal some grass?
You're like the 9th person that's asked me that. No, I didn't take any grass, but the last time that UT had to storm a court, Jack and I were together, and we were in 6th grade, we were in 8th grade in 2006. And we went down on the court when we beat UT beat Florida in basketball. Fast forward, 15 years, and Jack and I are there again. And it was just, that's a memory. I would have loved for you to have been there, for the 3 of us to go again. But it was special, you calling me and hearing that emotion in your voice. Like I said, we're all fans, and it's great. But the former players, they wore the orange.
Yeah, so, man. It meant a lot. It meant a lot to me. And I agree with you in what you said. Like, it feels like a we situation. Like, it just feels like we did it together. And, I don't know if other fan bases feel like that with their teams, but like, definitely Tennessee fans feel like that. It is definitely a we, not a they or a me. It's like all of us together in this.
Defense, baby.
I know. You think about it, you get more excited every time. Let's talk about defense. I mean, just overall, like Bryce, and we said it before, like he had to become Superman to be able to do what he did. Like the ability, I mean, y'all, Tim Banks loves bringing pressure. He does it all the time. He puts his DBs in bad situations. Like he's like, hey, you're man on man. It's you and him, and that's it. And that is very tough on our defensive backs and linebackers. And they still covered very well. Like it was just perfect throws on a lot of plays. And to finish the game, we had a walk-on out there. William Wright, baby. Walk-on, number 36. Covering guys. Bryce is even attacking him, and he still gets away with it. We still stop them, make them kick a field goal, which they miss. Like, what? Like, it was destiny for us to win this game. When they showed that sunset on CBS and it was all orange, I was like, God, this is it. We're going to win this game. I know it.
So all these fans all these fans that want to comment to us or reach out to me, which we obviously love, but they're like, what do you think about the defensive backs? Like, what are we doing? Why are we getting burnt? Why are we doing this? If Tim Banks feels good enough to bring the house like he's doing, and he doesn't feel like he has to coach with one arm or coach with some handicaps, if he trusts him, I'm going to trust him. He sees them every day in practice. And when I came home and rewatched some of the game, I while I was smoking my victory cigar, I was sitting down there and was with my dad, and we were enjoying it, and he went to bed, and I just sat out there and I turned the game on, not to watch it for note taking, but just to see it. And so I watched a little bit of the first half or the first start of the game, and then I went to the end because I wanted to see it. And I see 36 out there. I'm like, wait, what the fuck's going on here? I'm like, wait, who is this? And I look, and that's when I see it. And I texted the group. I was like, did you guys know that we had a redshirt sophomore walk-on, like, in the game? And, like, just crazy stuff. And it looks like, I mean, when you saw it in person, you saw that he didn't necessarily get beat, but, like, there was a guy behind him, and he took the inside route to try to make a PBU. Now, thank goodness it wasn't a good throw. And I don't know why. I don't know what happened that Bryce didn't lead him over the top. But for you to be, I mean, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine being in that position if I was him. That it's like, and it's so cliche.
How much has been sitting on the sideline, not even moving? He comes in freaking cold.
Bro, I mean, it's like, it's so cliche. But, like, when the coaches are like, everyone's got to be ready. You have to prepare as a starter. Because you know what? Like, I love this story. It was a great, very, very, very quick. At Memphis, our defense coordinator was our safeties coach. And he was telling me a story, or he told our whole defense a story, and it's about being prepared. And he had a guy that he coached in college, great player, ended up getting drafted and went to the I think it was the Green Bay Packers, or it was some NFL team. They're playing in the Super Bowl, and this guy's like the starting safety, and they end up losing the game. And this player that my defense coordinator had coached in college, they connected and talked, about it. They stayed in touch. And he was furious. Like, to that day, he would not talk to his backup or have anything to do with his backup, because he said that backup lost us a Super Bowl because how he did not prepare as a starter. He did not take it serious. He was like, I'm a backup. I'll play special teams. I'm not going to get in the game. And what happens? That starter got hurt, and that second string went in there and was not prepared at all. And so our defense coordinators was telling us, like, they firmly believe on that defense that guy, like, pretty much cost him a Super Bowl just because he didn't prepare as a true professional. And so, and I've always loved that story because it's hard. Listen, it is hard. You can tell people, I can tell people, anyone that's played sports and you weren't starting yet, it is hard because you really don't think your time's going to get called until it does. And then your world switches like that. So kudos to him. Kudos to coming in and unbelievable for that. But, I mean, defensively, man, the same thing about this team is it was a full team effort. We didn't just have Bryce Young putting the team on his back. We didn't have Jamar Gibbs, like, just making things happen. Like, we had everyone. Like, we've already talked about offensively. Offensive line stood up, both tight ends, multiple running backs, multiple receivers. On defense, Kyler, it was the same thing again. I mean, for the defensive line, it's all the same guys, man. I mean, there was a couple times we were bringing in damn hockey substitutions. You could not do that last year. Last year, Amari Thomas, Matthew Butler, Byron Young, Tyler Barron, and Caleb Trimble, and DeJoun Terry, like, those 6 or 7 just had to do it the whole season. Like, had to do it the entire season, basically, except for a few plays here and there. But this year, we're subbing in, like I said, hockey substitutions. And, like, so once again, whether it's Amari, which, by the way, Amari, I got some videos to send you and some snapshots. He is very, very quickly. He's Matthew Butler of last year, with what he's doing defensively on the defensive line. But you have him. You have Bryson Eason, fabulous game. Latrell Bumpus, best game I've seen him play. Is
Dominic Bailey.
Latrell Bumpus, best game I've seen him play. Dominic Bailey, Tyler Barron, Roman Harrison, Joshua Joseph was in on the first possession on the first third down of the game. I mean, like
as a freshman.
A freshman in the Alabama game, first drive, like I said, we dictated to them. If we stopped their run on first and second down, and we knew it was a definite pass play, we would rotate and we would take out Dejon Terry or Bryson Eason or someone like that. But I love this. Let me just dive into this. So the starters, we had more beef on first down. So our starters were Byron Young, and then after that it was Amari, Dejon Terry, and our other defensive end was Latrell Bumpus. So we said, hey, you want to stop the run, we're going to bring the beef. But right when we get you in 3rd and 7, it's Amari Thomas, Byron Young, Joshua Joseph, and yes. So Tyler Barron, Joshua Joseph, Byron Young, Amari Thomas. So we went and said, okay, we've got you where we want you. Now we're going to be able, instead of last year, just the same guys like, hey, we're sorry, you got to stay in with it. So massive team effort. Then linebackers, same 4 guys out there rotating around, and then you got our secondary. And you had Danico Slaughter, who had to step in at a big moment, played a very nice game. You had Wesley Walker playing back at safety some to give Danico some breathers. You had Trayvon Flowers. You had Christian Charles. Guys, just back in the spring, Christian Charles was playing safety. Now he's a corner, and he's playing very, very well. You have Deshaun Rucker in the game. You have Brandon Turnage in the game. You have, like I said, freaking walk-ons in the game. Like, it was such a team effort. And it's like, it really is next man up. If you're in there, we're putting you in there because we trust you. Whether you're our first option or our 5th option, everybody has a role. Like, Reed, if you're our 5th option, you're our 5th option because we trust you in that position. So go make a play. Go do something. So this defense, man, overall, how they swarmed, the effort they gave, the defensive backs were so good in run defense. They really, really were. I mean, it was maybe one time that Trayvon Flowers didn't look great in the open field, but like, dude, Jamar Gibbs is a stud.
I mean, they're comparing him to Alvin Kamara, so it's like, yeah,
he's special. Him and Bryce Young are special. So like, but I just really appreciate the effort and everyone. You weren't just in there giving people time to catch their breath. They were in there making plays like they have done all year. And the other thing about this defense is, before we get into actual plays, we made stops when we needed to. When we needed to make a stop, we did it. When we needed to force field goals, we did it.
When Hendon threw the pick, what do we do? Stop him. Gave the ball back. What do we do? Score.
I'm telling you, man, I don't care what the yardages are. We can pull them up. I've already got them pulled up here. I don't care about all that. I don't care what you do from 20 to 20. But did you get 7 or did you get 3? You know what I mean? And so let's start talking about some actual plays.
Yeah, I mean, I just absolutely loved everything this defense did. I was so impressed with the defensive line, especially the defensive tackles. There were so many plays where they took 2, where there's a double team up to linebackers, and they held both of those motherfuckers. And Jawan and Beasley and Banks and Page were unblocked. They could run freely and go get Gibbs and get him down to the ground. like, that is what you want out of your defensive tackles, and they stepped up and performed. I just thought it was awesome. And I think about it, we said, like, we ran a ton of man coverage on defense. I want you guys to think about this. Man coverage, one-on-one, and in no way, shape, or form did Alabama have the explosive plays that we had. Not even close.
Not close.
So think about it in that terms. Alabama was running zone and man, and we still had those explosive-ass plays. Even if they were in zone, that's how much better our defense played than their defense. It was an absolute fight for Alabama to score points. It was not easy for them. So, I mean, give it up. You're playing against the Heisman winner last year, okay? But I just have on here multiple times. Dude, honestly, Jeremy Banks might be the best pass rusher we have. Like,
seriously, though.
He is so good at pass rush, and no one's talking about it. The way he dips, the way he uses his hands, the way he times up the rush, it's incredible. Like, he is so good at rushing off the edge. It's like he's the defensive end.
He's great at doing it up the middle, too. He's fabulous.
He's fabulous. And he had an amazing game. He was all over the place.
And just to say this too, to piggyback off that, I was so proud, and I think we got away. I'm not saying it was targeting. I think we got away with Amari not getting that targeting call because you would have thought that's a penalty that goes towards Bama.
Yeah.
And I respect that if the refs did not think it was 100%, 100% yes, then they're not going to call it. And so I think we got away with that one because of how they protect not only quarterbacks, but definitely like Bama players.
Yeah.
But I was so happy with the times that Jeremy Banks or someone else got a shot and they weren't stupid and they had good, clean shots, good, clean hits. As a true freshman, Joshua Joseph gets a free lick and Bryce Young already lets the ball go and he pulls up and he doesn't hit him. And people are like, oh, well, great. Like, no, you do not understand. As an athlete, as a younger guy, you are so rock hard for wanting to make a play for your team and you don't understand how disciplined you have to be to not let the energy and the moment take over you. Like maybe the guy 34 did for Bama when he tried to pick up the ball. Joshua Joseph said, ball's out. I'm not going to lower the crown of my helmet. I'm not going to hit him. I'm not going to get my team a 15-yard penalty. And it was an incomplete pass. And shit like that, that small stuff is what winning football is about. And that stuff, I had to piggyback off since you were on that. For me, defensively, to start the game, this first drive, I don't know why they did the short side of the field, but a tone setter. Like Christian Charles gets off the block, makes the tackle, and the rest of the team swarm to him. And
that's the motion screenplay that we ran, that we talked about versus LSU. Alabama tries to run it first play. It's the exact same setup. And what do? We beat the block. Charles beats the block, makes the tackle, and everyone else swarms to the ball carrier. A sea of orange.
And I personally loved that they went – I absolutely personally loved that they wanted the ball first because I said, I said, if we get a stop and then get the ball and score first, I said that's not a good feeling in someone's tummies over there at the Bama sideline, and we get the chance to double up. So I love when we get to put our defense out there first because when we take the ball, we're going to go down and score anyway. So like let's get a stop first and then score on them and then be like, oh hell. So I love that. Like you said, my note here is I love the D line play. Bumpus, DT, Amari, Elijah, all these guys, Bryson, Don McBailey, Karat Garland, every single one of those guys had a couple times where they ate up 2 blocks, and people don't understand how important that is to stopping a run game. If those guys could get up to Beasley, Jawan, Solon Page, Jeremy Banks, it's hard as a linebacker when you got a guy who's much bigger than you and he gets his paws on you. So when those guys can eat up those 2 blocks and let them run free, it helps tremendously stop a run game. And the defense said, hey, we're going to make Bryce throw it and beat us. We don't trust your skill guys on the outside. And there were times where I was sitting up in that stands and I was like nervous. I was watching, I'm like, oh my God, we're bringing the blitz. It's man. We maybe only have one high safety. He's not at that much depth. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. Like I said, because I don't play defense that way if I was defensive coordinator. But Tim Beck's like, F it, bro. Like, we're going to do us. And if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to beat us through the air. Like that's why I was so impressed with all of our corners and defensive backs coming up making tackles. So, so funny. I'm happy you said that. Yeah, I have linebackers running free here. Incredible play that I'm going to send you, and I want you to put the entire video in, by Jeremy Banks scraping and coming. But what Omari Thomas did, where he comes up, gets a push, and he sees that he has to reroute himself, and he does a little spin and reroutes himself. Oh,
God, it's beautiful.
So and I would love to ask Amari, or I would love to talk to Rodney Garner and ask if they're taught this. But let me step back too. Obviously, if you guys are watching on YouTube, if you're just listening, sorry.
Hey, get up out of your seat. Show me something, Reed.
When you come up and you remember you and I talked about this last week, where like if you're as an offensive lineman or even like as a receiver that's inside or a tight end that's inside, if someone crosses your face, take them where they want to go. Well, this guy was taking Amari where Amari wanted to go, but Amari realizes, hey, this is too easy. He's letting me take where I want to go, and he's got his eyes in the backfield. that's when he spins and says, I'm not going to let him just walk me out of the play and leave a big gap or a good alley. Spins, runs down the line of scrimmage. I took a video of it last night. I said, oh, my gosh. I said, I just want to go give Amari a big hug and just be like, damn it, I love that type of football. I mean, so you'll be able to put it in the podcast, but just crap like that where he doesn't just, like, it's the little things like that. He doesn't just run himself out of the play and just, like it's unbelievable. When you watch it, you all know what I'm talking about. And so I would love to know if they're taught that, like, hey, once you go, you get your push and you realize like, and then, like I said, he spun and out of it. And yeah, great blitzes and stunts all night. Whoever was in there, great stunts, great blitzes. And I love the Jeremy Banks hit on on the first third down. We get back there and we started getting hits all night.
Jeremy disguised it, blitzed perfectly off the edge and like makes a move on the running back, gets back. Like he's just, dude, he was killing it all game. So they end up punting, they get the ball back. This drive, they do end up scoring, but I mean, like that slot shot that they threw over Rucker's head, that was great coverage by Rucker, like exactly where you need to be. And Bryce put it on the sideline, side shoulder, like literally the only place where his guy could get the ball and Rucker could not. So it's like, how am I supposed to get upset with Rucker? He is man on man with a 5-star wide receiver, and he still is in perfect position. So it's just stuff like that where people might be like, oh, dang it. Like Rucker's not any good. No, he is good. He is good enough to cover.
And that's ignorant. And it happened later in the game where Buddy jumps over our guy, makes a catch, and it's like
Christian. It was like a double catch on Charles. Because Charles got his hand in there and like had a hold of it, and it was like they both caught it.
Unbelievable catch by that guy. That's all you can say. You tip your hat to him.
Yeah.
Remind me, Kyler, when the last time one of our DVs just got beat deep. But just whatever Purdue game last year, maybe. I seriously, like, I can't think of any times this year. Like, our DBs have been in really good coverage, even when they get caught on.
Yeah.
What else can you ask?
Exactly. I think the longest play from scrimmage that we've lit up is the freaking tight end for Pitt jumping over Trey Flowers.
Yeah.
It's like everyone else gets stopped. It's not big plays like that. This is where like Bama started getting penalties. You could have called holding on both of their tackles every single play. It was unbelievable. I was getting so pissed watching that shit and just seeing our defensive linemen like this.
Yeah.
Like leaning over to the side, like what the heck? Like they're just ripping their jerseys off. After that slot shot, like Bryce, that lucky completion he throws to the sideline and that guy comes back and grabs it.
What the play by that guy.
Danico comes up, tries to make that tackle on Gibbs and misses. So it's just, it's what happens. Bryce showing his wheels, showing how shifty he is. Unbelievable back there. But blitz by Walker causes that. Well, this is after they score. So Gibbs scores.
Yeah, let me. I got a couple. A couple on that one too. I actually thought Danico missed that tackle on that one. He just needs to keep his head across. Easier said than done. I mean, I'm not tackling Jamar Gibbs, in the open field. Like, so Danico, obviously it's a teaching point. Just do your better job. Come in a little bit more controlled, head across in the front. But yeah, I mean, Tamarian, let me see here. Danico coming up, shooting the alley, great tackle. Like I said, we've already talked about it. Not bad coverage on the slot shot. And then I thought we had great push by Bumpus. And like I said, Danico just has to keep his head in front. That's all I had on that one. So next possession.
So next possession, Walker comes on that blitz, Wesley Walker. He doesn't get there, but he causes the holding. So it's like, your blitzes might not always get there, but you might catch the offensive line or a running back or a tight end blocking and get a penalty out of it. But that was when Bryce started doing his shiftiness. And that reminded me of 2015 Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield, where it just somehow he was not getting sacked. And just like, please take him down. You guys are all around him. Just Get him on the ground, please.
That's and people don't understand how frustrating and demoralizing that can be as rushers. So the fact that they kept that relentless effort for 60 minutes, like, sounds cliche. It's how you win football games, though, because that can be really, 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 like I said, that's just a gut punch. And the other thing is, too, as defensive back, we did a really good job. I mean, there were some times that he just got out and made some plays, but there were other times, too, where he got out. Like, I know we'll talk about it here in a minute, but when the fumble happened in the end zone and he still gets out there and makes a hell of a play.
Next, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that fumble in the end zone. It wasn't even a bad snap. It was more of a hard snap, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
like he rocketed it back there. But then like them to keep playing and then Wesley Walker to just keep covering. And then he knocks the ball away. Like that is impressive in and of itself. Like don't have your eyes looking in the backfield and seeing what's going on and get taken advantage of. So like I thought that was great.
You'll appreciate this, and so will all the people listening, the fans. That was one of those. It's like a Bama play or like a Florida play, like 3 years ago. That usually gets completed, and we're just like,
yep.
But now these guys make the plays.
Yep, exactly. Before that, the drop by number 11, like that's when I started to go like, these aren't the same guys. Like you don't have Devontae Smith, you don't have Jalen Waddle to take it to the house anymore. These guys are dropping balls. Like you didn't see that for the past few years with Bama. Delay a game. They had multiple delay games, and that's because of you guys. That's because of the fans in the stadium. There's nothing else to put it up to but that. There was times we got a sack once we got a pressure once because of the fans. Because Bryce tried to come up and change the protection, and the O-line, there was miscommunication because they couldn't freaking hear what Bryce was saying. Then we got pressure in the face. No, we got a sack. This was the sack that Amari got later in the game because it was so damn loud in there. So it does have an effect on the game every single time.
This is the drive where they're backed up. They keep shooting themselves in the foot. Like we just talked about the snap and fumble and all that stuff. That's when Jack looked at me and he was like, dude, this isn't like we knew that we already knew going into it. It's not Bama of old, but like we had them rattled. Like, I mean, guys just making careless and boneheaded, mistakes. Just because you get recruited to Alabama and go to Alabama doesn't just mean that you're going to be as good as everyone else that's been there. Like you have to still step up and make the plays when they're there. Like you still have to treat and approach the fundamentals and those things and like drop balls. Like if Bryce Young hits you like that, bro, like you got to make that catch, and they didn't. And so that's when I really felt like they were rattled. And then they kept with the penalties, and they the fans did unbelievable.
And then, oh my God, that blitz, Jeremy Banks comes flying through the middle and absolutely decleats Bryce Young as he's going the ball. And that is where it just gets me fired up that these guys are coming. I don't care that you have, Bama receivers. Like, I'm bringing 6. We're playing man, and I'm coming after your ass because you're in the end zone. I want to get a damn safety. So impressive by Tim Banks.
And so that was the one where Jeremy came from his regular inside linebacker position. It was not from the outside. And if you rewatch it, he takes this read step 1. He takes another read step 2. He realizes, hey, I don't know if it's supposed to be a delayed blitz or he sees the back staying in. But when he decides it's go time, I mean, how fast he gets from point A to point B with when he's got that guy in lockstep. I mean, it is special athletic ability. He did a great job of, like I said, clean hits all night. And like, it was special. I mean, that
was like risk reward determination by Banks being like, okay, I have a running back, but Bryce is looking the other way and he's not going to throw it over here. I'm going to get there first and go.
And he got there.
So, they end up punting. Next drive out, we have Eason and Elijah in at D tackle, and they make an immediate impact. Eason just get into the back, pushing his guy into the backfield. Elijah taking up multiple blocks, 2-yard run. Next play, Elijah, threw the guard on his ass.
Dump trucked him.
Ended up being like a PI or a holding on Charles. So they got a first down. Let's see. Sideline throw. 81. He was getting he loves him. Bryce loves 81, giving him the ball. And he's a great receiving tight end. I don't think he's a great blocking tight end. I think there were a lot of blocks, especially on the edge and bubbles and screens, that he was just like completely whiffing and missing.
I don't disagree. And that actually happened. That he was the one that missed a block first play of the game.
Exactly. So there was a slant where Charles was covering the guy, and it was actually very good coverage. It ended up being a completion, and Charles made the tackle. It wasn't for a first down. It was like 6 yards. But there was a stack of two receivers, and he had to pretty much fight through the top receiver and then get to the next one, and still was on his back as he made the play. So, great by Charles. And a lot of completions that they had were in the flats. And it's like, when you zone blitz, what zone are you going to leave open? And the flats.
And that's one thing I was trying to explain to Jack, because he was always like, dude, why do we not have someone in the flats? Like, what are we doing? Like, where? And there was probably once, maybe twice, where I think it was a missed assignment. But the other times, yeah, like if you're going to zone blitz, we're going to keep everything in front of us. We're not going to say, hey, let's guard the flats and give up the deep third or the deep halves. So yeah, hey, we bend but don't break. It's what are we going to do? Between the 80s and the in between the 20s and then 20s and in.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, for me on that one, I have the exact same thing. Bryson Easton, I got a video of it. Great push. Don't like you take you out. Grace you his hands and effort to get back in the play. Have the same thing. Good job holding up by Elijah. Very great job. Then the next one, there were times, Kyler, where Bryce had like a decent amount of time, but yet they still didn't get anything special, and it was because of the good coverage on the back end and the continued effort from on the rush. And a lot of people talk about so I've talked about before, I love listening to Chris Long's podcast, and obviously he was an edge rusher, defensive end. And it's not just about your first move. What are your combo moves? Like for you as a tackle, what did you have to worry about? Like, a guy can maybe hit you with the bull, but then if you stop his first bull, is he going to hit you with a spin? Is he going to, what is he going to hit up and under? So the fact that you got, it's hard, man. It's hard when you're, 300 pounds, 290 pounds, 310. I mean, Elijah out there, giving his effort for a play that's supposed to be 4 or 5 seconds, but it's going 7 or 8. And so to keep that effort going was nice. Okay. Not going to sound like a biggie, but this is where I talked about Double J coming off and keeping his hands up and not blasting someone like an idiot.
Yeah.
Amari, great push. Dejon Terry holding his own, man. Nice scrape by Juwan.
Yeah, that Amari, he bullied that left guard. Latrell took 2 blockers, and then Juwan was just free to make the tackle. It's the same thing again. It's incredible.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk about this. So, massive stop on 3rd and goal. Kyler, this was the perfect defense, the absolute perfect defense, in my opinion, for when they were on third. It's like 3rd and goal from like the 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved everything about it. I loved the
disguise.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I love the pre-snap. I love the disguise, because Bryce knows it's man. Everyone in the stadium knows it's man. And we say we're coming. We basically, and I took a picture of it. We show like everyone's coming. But what I liked is when we did drop, we had our 2 robbers. So we dropped with Juwan and with Banks. Mm-hmm. And I think Banks was probably a spy. Yeah, I think he was probably a spy or maybe in man. And then if the running back so we had 2 guys in the middle of the field. But you also had Trayvon Flowers, who came down as a mid-robber from safety, and everyone else was in man coverage. And the fact that they tried to fit it in on that slant and Juwan gets the bat, Deshaun Rucker had great. He was hit pocket. So, I mean, I don't think it was going to get completed anyways. Really, the only place that you are worried to get attacked is a lot of teams will run the outside guy in, and they'll run like a post corner for like the slot guy, and it'll be like a jump ball. But when they didn't do that right off the rip, and he's in the other thing that I loved about this, we had a guy coming off the edge on the left and a guy coming off the edge on the right. and it really was a blanket where Bryce couldn't get out, because that's what I like. It's like, all right, we're going to be man. We're going to have a mid-robber, and you know what else we're going to have? We're not going to let Bryce take off and run. So we had the outside, the inside, and then we had the middle cut. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and in that disguise, those linebackers coming up in the A gaps, and they end up dropping. It makes the running back hesitate just a little bit. He goes inside first instead of looking outside, and doesn't block Byron Young coming off the edge. And that's what ends up happening. Byron gets pressure on Bryce as he's letting go of the ball. It's not an accurate throw. Juwan gets a tip, and it's just like you said, that is a team effort. That is not one guy making a play. That is because the linebackers did their assignments and stepped up in the thing. That is because they dropped and got into the correct zones. That is because Byron came off the edge. That is because Rucker was right on his hip. Like, it's all together in the same play that makes it work. So it was just beautiful to see.
Beautiful.
And
I loved
Byron,
it.
got to be careful, because that definitely could have been a personal foul. Roughing the passer, hit him in the head. So just got to be careful in that. Let's see. On to the next drive. They end up with a field goal. Oh man, Juwan came flying from the other side of the line, literally was on the other side of the line and came flying across. They gave a little sweep to Gibbs. Flowers gets outside edge, makes him cut inside, and Juwan comes in, lays a hammer on him. Absolutely loved that.
Sorry for the paper.
Don't blitz again. The flat's open. That's what's going to happen. Beasley can't cover the quarterback and the flat. It's just impossible.
Hey, Bryce took what he was given, man. He really did. He tried to take what he was given, and that's why I was saying up in those stands, it's so easy for us. And damn, they had to scratch and claw on a lot of stuff. And I knew they would do it. I knew Saban wasn't going to let Bill O'Brien call themselves out of this game, but it was smart of them knowing that they could run it to stay with that, not to panic.
Yeah,
and I don't
exactly.
think other teams aren't going to have the coaching, and other teams aren't going to have the talent to be patient with us sometimes, honestly.
No. Then we got a couple plays, got a swing to the running back. Tamarian makes a tackle. It's it's a block in the back by anyone. Definitely.
Christian Charles.
Wesley Walker comes up from safety and makes a tackle on Gibbs, which is incredible. It was like a 2 to 3 yard gain. He just shot down there, which I think, dude, when you're playing zone, and instead of keeping your back middle safety into cover 3, you have him come up and play that mid zone. I love that, because it's almost like a extra guy in the box and an extra guy you're bringing up to make a tackle on a run play, and they're faster than everyone else. So I always love it when coaches bring that safety up to it.
I loved having Wesley Walker and Tamarian McDonald in the game at the same time. And that's not a knock on Danico. I thought Danico played well of a game, but I think Tamarian and Wesley are both darn good players. So I liked having Wesley back at safety sometimes. But really the only thing defensive back wise that I saw I wasn't pumped about was a couple times Christian Charles coming off the edge, and you're wanting to get back there so fast, and he just doesn't take necessarily a great angle, doesn't stay to the outside. And that's probably been the only thing that we've harped on all year is some of those guys coming off the edge, and one of them was a run play. One of them they just handed it to Gibbs, and basically Christian Charles just takes himself out of the play because he just goes in there flying like a maniac and dives, and Gibbs just kind of looks at him and steps over him and ends up.
Yeah, and incredible play by Banks to hawk him down, swat the stiff arm and make the tackle. But before that, they did Banks had coverage on number 81, and it was great coverage. It was right where he needed to be, and Bryce just put it the only place that his guy could get it. Banks was there on top of him as he was catching it.
Happened twice with Banks and with Christian Charles.
Bryce played incredible. If that is any lesser of a quarterback, those are 2 interceptions.
or it's not even a game.
Yeah, exactly. So that juke on Charles, Banks saves the play. And then we're in zone coverage. They break off of their original route, and Bryce just has too much time, completes in the end zone for a touchdown. So it's just like so hard to cover that entire time. Like, our coaching point as offensive linemen was give the quarterback 3 seconds. Like, if he doesn't have the ball gone in 3 seconds, then like there's
Not
a
on you.
problem in the back end and something needs to happen. So like he had it for like 6. So it's like, how can you expect the DBs to cover that long? So ended up with a touchdown. Let's see. Getting into the next one. They try to run a screen. They literally don't block anyone. And then the pursue by the defensive line just coming down the line. Tyler Barron ends up making the tackle for like a 2-yard gain.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's effort. That's all that is. Let's see. 81 runs another corner. Banks is on him, but he trips. Like, he literally just trips over, his feet.
It was a good move by 81. That's tough, man. That's tough asking a middle linebacker guarding a guy like that man-to-man coverage.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's an excuse. It's just tough.
No. Then we have the play where Amari, like, it's talked about for the targeting. And like if it was actually targeting. Now, if I was an Alabama fan, if it was the other way around, I'd be screaming my head off too. Like, I would want that targeting call. But also, 3 of the 5 offensive linemen were holding on that play, and pretty bad, pretty blatant, like holding calls. The left tackle had his arm around Byron's neck. The other one had his arm around Joshua Joseph's neck. I was just like, all right, Bama, like, you guys are getting lucky with your penalties too. You have a lot more than they've called.
I mean, we know though, Kyler. We know that you can pretty much call holding on basically on every call. So sometimes I don't mind if they let the boys play. It just can't be obvious. Like, don't let something obvious. Like, I was happy that they called the obvious one where Gibbs scored, when they were in the red zone and they called it back. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, it's the same thing. Like, as a DB, like, or a receiver, like, I want there to be some hand fighting. Like, you could call a penalty on every play if you wanted to. So I don't mind when they let the boys play a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. They try and run a draw. It worked out perfectly. We ran a freaking twist. Byron Young's coming inside, makes Gibbs hesitate. Beasley has man on Gibbs, so he comes up and makes the tackle. I swear, man, Beasley looks so fast sometimes.
That guy makes a play, 1 or 2 plays every game where it is kind of like it's a flash play. Like, it's like, oh, damn. And it's impressive the way he fires and shoots his gun and how fast he plays and how well he is at tackling, like how well he does with wrapping up and also bringing the lumber a little bit. Like, I mean, man, he plays linebacker the right way.
Exactly. Then they, go for it on 3rd and long. Number 3 drops it. That's another, like, what wide receivers do you have now? End up kicking a field goal. This takes us into halftime. So first play out. Oh my goodness. The absolute swarm. The first play is insane. And I will put it in here. It Slaughter, is crazy.
Danico, Jeremy Banks, Bumpus, Wesley Walker, Christian Charles, Juwan, all of them.
All of them in on the tackle. They're just like, y'all thought we were going away? Y'all thought we were just letting you win this game? No, not at all.
Tone setter. Second half.
Yeah.
We're here.
Tone setter.
60 minutes.
Exactly. Let's see. Great coverage by Charles. This is the one we talked about earlier. Great coverage by him. Guy just goes up top, makes a great catch. And It was a double catch. Like, Charles had his hands on the ball too. So it's just like, dude, you're doing what you're supposed to do. They got to make plays if they want to win. And that's what they're trying to do. Gibbs jukes Flowers out. He's coming in just hot. But
it's tough.
DeJoun Terry was just getting absolutely like ripped. Like, he was getting held so bad. And then, he ends up scoring on that play. I'm like, here's where, like you said, you let them play, kind of let them do their thing. But like, this is why these kind of plays are why like no one should feel bad. And Alabama fans should shut up about penalties because there's a lot of penalties that don't get called. And you guys have been on the good side of all this for 15 years. So please.
Listen, man, I think I'm just going to stop even making comments about it because I've already said earlier in the pod that, yeah, they've been on the good side of it for a long time. But, like, it's just a waste of breath because every fan base is going to think if they lose a game that they got screwed. And, I mean, they're going to, it's hilarious on Twitter when they show the Amari and they're like, how is this not targeting? Then we show the one last year where dude literally just blatantly leaves and – so it's like everyone that they can say, we can say, and vice versa. They can send us on. I'm just going to say this from now on. I'm not going to talk about officiating. And the only one I'm ever going to bring up in the history of football is the New Orleans Saints versus the Rams, where they didn't call they didn't call PI on that one. Other than that, I'm just tired of hearing about them because it happens every week to everybody.
Exactly. We're in zone coverage on that 2-point play, so it just kind of opens up some stuff for them. I almost wish we stayed in man because a lot of times once we got down to the end zone and that shortened field and all the spaces get smaller, it was so much tougher for them, which is why we forced so many field goals, which is great for us. Next drive, just great push up front by Eason and Garland. This is the one, Rutger, the adjustment and reaching around the wide receiver and batting that ball away. Like, you watch it, he is not touching the receiver at all. He's just reaching his arm around his head and gets there and bats that ball. It was incredible. I thought it was an amazing play by him. And for a guy that doesn't start, like, he's not supposed to be playing right now.
I thought it was an unbelievable play as well, Kyler. And I know that's one of the ones that the Bama fans are freaking out about, but I thought it was an absolutely fantastic play.
Yeah. Let's see. They're getting some plays here. A slant for a first. Did a bubble for 9 yards. Then Bryson misses a slot shot. Like, misses the guy. He's open. I'm not even sure why he missed it. I think there was a little bit of pressure, but it wasn't that much. So then the next play, Bryce is doing that scramble and they somehow get a first down on third down. It's very demoralizing and sucks, but it was also like, Juwan left his zone so he could come get Bryce, and that's where Bryce ended up throwing it. Like, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place if you're Juwan, where I don't know if this guy's going to run and get that first down and it's kind of like just risk reward. Like I said earlier of, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to rush, you're going to stay back. So Bryce made a play and that's what happens. And this is where into this game, I'm like so impressed with this DB room. And I remember back in the fall and in the spring, we said this DB room is so deep. There are so many guys in this DB room, and then they showed up. Every single one of them showed up. Every single one of them has to play. And it's just like so impressive what they were able to do. And what they were able to do at the end of the game when Tim Banks is calling he's calling 0 blitzes with walk-ons in there. Like, what? That's insane to me, dude. Insane. But that's what Tim Banks does.
There's no other better word than insane. That's a lot of faith and a lot of trust in your team, is all I can say on that. I think the only one that I was a little surprised about is I saw Brandon Turnage out there a good amount, but I didn't see him towards the end of the game. And I don't know if they just pulled him because they thought others were playing better or if he maybe got injured. Do you know of anything what happened there or by any chance?
I'm not sure, but he was on the last drive because they didn't have anyone else.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then I missed that. Then I apologize because I thought
I think it was Charles and Rutger both got hurt.
Okay,
and both had to get out.
Okay.
Let's see. Next, another perfect throw to 81 where Charles was right there.
Yeah.
Let's see. They have a first and goal play. It's blocked perfectly, but Banks is the only reason that there's a tackle because he just sprints outside of the block and gets there.
Yeah.
Then Gibbs is in the flat man coverage. Let's see. They end up scoring a touchdown. I can't remember. I just put Banks and Flowers. I can't remember what touchdown this was that I'm talking about. Anyway, let's see. Another delay of game from the crowd. The next drive. Great delay in disguise by Beasley on a blitz. He was so close to getting to Bryce, and then he did that scramble thing again, and it was all over the place. And this was the play where he threw it into the end zone, and Rutger got pulled down. So PI.
Massive acting skills.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll say this, and go ahead and finish with any other things that you have written off. We're at an hour right now, so we're.
I know. Or this is going to be the longest podcast ever.
So I just want to say, for me, besides pointing out each and every other plays, like I said, you feel free to. But for me, once again, the fact that this team defensively made the plays when they had to have them, which is a huge, huge deal. The fact that the effort and the fact that it was a team win. And Kyle, let me just go ahead and tell you something why I have it pulled up here. Bryce Young had to throw it 52 times. He had to throw it 52 times. He completed 35 of them for 455 yards and no interceptions. Most Bama fans think if that's the case, that they're probably going to win the game because that's a pretty stellar. But when they made the stops or the sacks or the PBUs at the times you need it, Jamar Gibbs, 24 carries, 103 yards, hit a 4.3 average. But we still stopped them, made the stops, swarmed when we needed to swarm. You guys got to remember, this is a different style of defense in 2022. We say it all the time. This is what cracks me up, though, is Hendon Hooker was only 21 of 30 for 385, 5 touchdowns, and he had the 1 interception. We know that. And he had the 1 fumble. But then our running backs go 12 for 71 with a 5.9 average by Jalin Hyatt. Hendon Hooker, 14 of 56 with a 4-point average. Jabari Small, 12 for 53 for 44. I mean, those averages are 4.4 average, 4.0, and 5.9. I mean, you tell me what defense made the plays when they need to have them and when it is.
Yeah.
And, man, whether it was Pitt, Florida, some of these other games last year where the defense is on the field last and they step up and make the stop, and they do it again this year and with enough time, 13 seconds. Nothing epitomizes more of a team win. And to wrap this up for me, I really think it's still just the start. I want everyone to enjoy this. But man, it's the sky's the limit, for this team. And there's no reason I don't have. There's nothing that they've done that doesn't give me faith that they can win every single game the rest of the year.
Exactly.
And that's with injuries. That's with lesser on paper talent. That's with all that.
I think the coaching is what sets us apart. Like the coaching of Tim Banks to force offenses to do what he wants is incredible. Making Bryce throw 52 times.
You dictate.
Jaden Daniels throw 45 times. Like you're forcing the offense to do what you want. They're not determining what's going on. And that is the most impressive thing.
If you can dictate offensively and defensively, and obviously it helps, Kyler. It helps that our offense jumps up on people, and that helps Tim Banks, to scheme up, to have different play calls, to have game plans. I'm just so impressed. We'll say it every time with what we saw, not only the first time we went, but even what we saw last year. I mean, this team went, 7-6 last year, I guess, or whatever they went. It should have been one more because we got screwed in the Purdue game, but that's okay. And to see the progression that these guys made, man, I really am proud. And if I'm these kids' parents, and I'm just really proud of the hard work that they've put in from last year to now, and then, like you said, getting better each week. It's something you don't see often.
No, you really don't.
I want people to know that, like, this isn't just something that happens. That is, I mean, it's pretty special. It's pretty special.
Yeah, this is a special season for us. I think this coaching has just been incredible. It literally almost makes me like worried about poaching some of our coordinators and getting them out of here, because they're doing such an impressive job. Like, I don't know how much Golish is deciding on those plays. I think it's a team effort between him and Heupel, but like, I don't want to lose him, and I don't want to lose Tim Banks either. These guys have been very impressive, and like their coaching points, like you said earlier, Jonathan Joseph pulling up and not hitting a quarterback when he doesn't need to, like, that's coaching. So all that little stuff that makes us so dangerous, it starts with coaching. It's
coaching, and it's also being coachable. It goes both ways.
Exactly. But I absolutely love this team. I don't think there's I'm even confident about Georgia. I don't understand. I do not see anyone slowing down our offense now. Like, now that we've gone through the gauntlet of Florida, LSU, Bama, and won all of them, it's like, and had incredible offensive performances. There hasn't been one where our offense has been bad. So
Stetson Bennett going to be better than Bryce Young? No.
Exactly.
Their running back as good as Jahmyr Gibbs? No. Like, their tight end's incredible. Okay, so one guy that we really have to key on is that tight end, and Stetson Bennett and that coaching staff going to be able to score with us? That's pretty scary if I'm a Georgia fan.
Pretty scary. I don't think they can put up 50.
I mean, like I said, and I saw you stole my tweet, and I was yelling it all night up there. Problem. This team is a massive problem. Go Vols. Please finish up with any other things that you want to say, with any point out, because we would just sound like a broken record of this guy stepping up, this guy stepping up, that guy stepping up, this guy stepping up, and kudos to them. But we can't sit on here all night. Go Vols.
I know, and I got to edit this whole thing.
Go Vols, baby.
Go Vols. I appreciate you guys watching and listening. If you are watching, please rate, review, subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. We love the comments. We love answering the comments. It's literally so much fun to us. If you want to follow us on social media, at Believe in Tennessee for Twitter, at rbacon26 for Reed, at Kyler Kerberson for myself on all social medias. Big news also, we have merch, baby. We have merch. It's the best merch you're ever going to get. It's orange and white t-shirts with our nice quote, "How we doing, bud?" And show support for the boys. It's really affordable, and I'll put the link in the YouTube. Appreciate you guys. You are always the absolute best. And as always, go Vols.